matchup. ROX Tigers. SK Telecom T1. 2017 League of Legends Champions Korea Summer Split.
Welcome back, OGN Legion. It's time to dive into our final match of the night. It's going to be SK Telecom T1 going up against the ROX Tigers. And very much like our first match, it's going to be a top-tier team going up against one of the ones resting along the bottom. But as you have said, Papa Smithy, you have ROX Tigers pegged for being the top of the bottom of the barrel.
And as I have said, it is our budget Telecom War Day, where SKT and KT are playing in this stadium, but sadly, just not playing each other.
It's not against each other.
But we do get to rate them against each other because it is very much top team versus bottom team in both the matches. ROX Tigers expected to put up a fight against SKT, but any more than that perhaps is unrealistic in this particular scenario. Looking at the ladder, ROX Tigers may be 1-5, but if you notice, their game score is significantly better than the other teams. Now, they have played less matches than BBQ Oliver's, MVP, and Everate, but -5. They have actually managed to claim 5 game wins. So actually putting it together for a series, this is probably not going to be the one for them. But the ROX Tigers have been able to separate themselves from the other 3. It's just a question of can they do that on the table.
Yeah, they're keeping themselves away from that relegation zone that's currently occupied by MVP and Everate, winners with BBQ not far behind, but decently separated. And even with an 0-2 loss, which is going to be the expected outcome here for this set, they'd only fall to a -7. So they still would be very well above the rest of those squads at the bottom of the standings.
I don't know about you, but it's still hard for me to look at ROX Tigers versus SKT and suppress my natural instinct to get hyped. The hype, sadly, is gone from 2016. The logo is different, the team is different, but it's Mickey versus Faker, so maybe we'll have some highlight-worthy moments from the mid lane in this series.
We just have to hope that we get good Mickey and not into Mickey because, you know, he varies back and forth, very much like Pawn was doing during the spring split, but needs to find that consistency. But the roster, very much going to be staying the same. Linderong in the top lane, Mighty Bear, they're in the jungle, Mickey in mid, Songyun, and Key rounding out the bottom lane. Saw a nice little moment, actually, while I was outside. Walked over to the pharmacy, and I saw Shy and Sky sharing a moment together. Walked over to the Starbucks, got a coffee, and then took some photos with the fans. I was like, oh, 2 former teammates still being jovial together.
A lot of links between teams now, with CJ kind of being scattered across the wind. 1 on each team, feels like, in many different ways. A lot of Afrika freaks in this particular team. At least Mickey, Songyun, the start of game 1. It's interesting to really work out the Afrika freaks. They've been so insistent on playing Orianna and control mages mid lane that are so different from Mickey's normal champion pool. It's almost like they're putting training wheels on. Let's find a new strategy that isn't built around Mickey. So far, it hasn't led them to a lot of success, as SKT will be running their full power lineup. That means that Huni and Peanut will not be playing.
Yeah, no sub squad here. SKT are just trying to get Blank as high as possible, trying to hit that 20-match undefeated mark there for him. And Untara and Blank both starting here. No sign of Sky, as I mentioned. Saw him outside, but not on the starting roster for SKT.
And Blank is fast encroaching the perfect game, or perfect season in the best-of-1 format. 18 mark. He's at 15 going into this series, so 17 wins. If they do, as predicted, go 17-0 for Blank. He is in great form. His Lee Sin is now being a feared must-ban champion, but everything is working for Blank, whereas Peanut, insanely, is 3-4 on the season. Peanut actually has a negative win rate on a team that is right at the top of the table.
Yeah, been rough times for him and Huni as of late. Not nearly as much, still does have that positive win rate, but Blank has been the savior for this squad, has been taking over what Bengi formerly was. But you can see here, just going to be the KDAs coming in. It's a bit rough.
Some pretty good players on the right side of the screen. Faker, 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 Bang.
Yeah, you know, those are names I've heard of.
I've heard of Mickey too. So, yeah, it's going to be a really tricky one for ROX Tigers to not get pretty embarrassed like you would say Everate was, at least in game 2. They pick up games here and there. They've actually only gone down 2-0 twice out of the 6 matches they've played. But the opposition doesn't really get much easier, unfortunately, for them. You'd say, though, after playing SKT, it's probably the worst is over for the ROX Tigers. Their remaining matches are a bit more winnable. They will be facing next week Everate and also one final match. So the Everate match, I think, is a big one for them. And MVP in a couple of days' time is another winnable match for ROX Tigers.
Yeah. But you have to be a bit concerned there for Blank. Coming into this one, could get that 17-0. But then you have to be worried about the Telecom war that will be on the horizon. And does he finally suffer a loss?
Is he playing in the Telecom war? Because now even KT won't know what to expect in that particular match.
Maybe SKT just runs Peanut in both of them in case they lose, and then Blank can still maintain his undefeated record.
Somehow Peanut is Tom in this analogy, and it makes me really sad, Achilles. He was so good at MSI, and in spring season, he actually suffered a loss on that Lee Sin, you'll remember, in his last series. So that's another undefeated streak broken as he watches his jungle substitute extend his own win streak.
I'm ready for continuing the undefeated one, so Faker, let me see your Riven.
6-0 on the Riven. We're going to be looking at the two junglers, and this is kind of the thing, is we're focusing on Lee Sin in this particular one. In spring season and in 2016, Lee Sin is not a champion you would have paired with Blank, but some of its insect plays were outstanding in that run of 4 victories. 17-0 became 17-1 as Peanut, who had Lee Sin permanently banned against him, did drop a game last time out. So the tides are changing, and very interestingly, they're changing back towards Blank rather than Peanut.
Yeah, maybe 17-1, maybe 17's the cap, and then you have to suffer a loss. So maybe Blank 2-0s here, goes into the Telecom war, loses a game, wins the next 2, and is 17-1, just like Peanut's Lee Sin.
Zac is another champion that, interestingly, may be available some point in this series. Mighty Bear felt like he learned on the job in his 2 games on Zac. The first one, hilarious, a victory. Second one was a loss, but I wouldn't
much better.
But Blank has a skin, you know. He has the SK Telecom T1 Zac skin coming out soon, and the one game we saw from him was perfect, according to OGN. And at least KDA-wise, it was a very one-sided match. That's a pretty good DTPM, though, on Zac, all things considered.
Yeah.
But
really well
another one of those very standard wins for SKT, and one of those standard wins for Blank.
Well, something tells me Blank is not going to be the one receiving the Zac, and I don't really expect SKT to leave it open. Maybe they just don't believe enough in Mighty Bear's ability to use it that they go ahead and try to target ban out Mickey instead, perhaps. But seems very likely that Zac will be taken off the table.
What does target banning Mickey look like, though, in this Orianna weird world? He's 1-4 on Orianna this season. Galio, certainly. Maybe you need to ban that one away. 2-0 Kled for Linderung. There's a couple of picks that have worked, but it is still 6-1 versus 1-5. So I don't think SKT, especially with Mickey moving away from his roots, being a team-fighting player rather than a lane-focused player, has too much to worry about in pick and ban.
I'm just the play-by-play. I'm just spitballing over here, Papa Smithy. You're the one that fleshes out my statements and you correct them for the audience.
Well, I don't have anything to say about that statement.
That's why you make the big bucks.
It's true. Just so many dollars over here, Achilles.
All of the one. But here we go. Seems like we're ready to go and dive into that pick and ban for game number 1. Coaches in the boots. Wolf's having a bit of a yawn. Still tired coming into this one.
20 seconds left as we do, as you guys will know, go live on the hour here for pick and bans in the LCK.
It's only been early a couple times.
It's true. Usually there's another reason for that. But SK Telecom T1 versus ROX Tigers. First time in the summer season. Looking for SKT to put in their second last performance of the season, of the first round robin, sorry, because the Telecom war will be what bookends the first round robin for SKT. I'm guessing the fact that we've gone past the hour means there might be some slight complications.
Perhaps, or somebody fell asleep on the job. Doesn't have that transition ready to go.
Your only job was to press go on the lobby.
It's a slider. You just slide it to the other side and then it transitions. That's about it. So, not sure if there is an issue. Maybe just giving the coaches a little bit of extra time to get into the heads. Wolf says, you know what, I need to wake up a little bit more, go grab me an energy drink.
I feel like, you know, we noted that there's that haircut change from Coma. He's also changing his attire a lot. He was in suit today. He was actually in just the team jersey last time.
He should just start dressing exactly like Ambition does.
Really?
Maybe then he'd get married.
That's the only reason he got married. It was actually his good dress sense.
Yeah, just doesn't doesn't look enough like Ambition.
Well, we know now that the teams aren't allowed to rotate their jerseys every week. The Coup Tigers back in spring season 2015 put pay to that. But I feel like Coma should just rotate his wardrobe every week. he's got a great chance in front of hundreds of thousands of people watching the LCK. Just wear some pimp clothes, I guess.
You know that man must have like a walk-in closet worth of suits and other attire at this point.
No, he actually renovated the closet as a trophy cabinet instead.
Ah, okay.
It's a walk-in trophy cabinet now.
He now has more trophies than he does clothing. That'd be a good problem to have, I suppose. Could be the case. Not sure. Either way, pick and ban is ready to go. ROX Tigers going to be starting things off over on that blue side, and they will be banning out that Rumble first and foremost.
Tara is 3-0. We know that every SKT top laner plays Rumble, just the way it is. Prophet no longer with the team. Still playing Rumble over in the EU LCS, but confused as to why not all his games end in a win.
Yeah, just this is odd.
New feeling for him. ROX Tigers will ban Syndra on blue side. Faker hasn't got his hands on the Syndra too often, but is formidable on that particular pick. Trying to force something, it feels like. Tigers just looking to see what they can get at first pick, potentially for Mighty Bear, or maybe even in another lane. I wonder how high Orianna will be in priority, given that Mickey has been playing it almost exclusively in recent times.
Well, we know Faker is more than happy to take that one himself, so could see that as a snatch up if it makes it through towards that second round of picks. And Caitlyn's going to be the final one as they ban that away from Songyun.
That means Galio comes through, and
okay.
Mickey is 2-0 on Galio this season. In a struggling team, that is a relevant statistic, and Galio went to that big winning streak in mid lane of 11 games in a row. For it has been thwarted a couple of times recently, so SKT playing a bit on hard mode. I actually don't mind leaving open strong picks when you have a big match coming up, because even just beating the ROX Tigers with Galio in the mid lane is still going to be another top-level learning experience for them.
Well, Lee Sin coming through here for Blank. As 4 wins on it so far in summer. Could be looking to make that 5. As he keeps pushing forward, and yet fully expecting that Galio to be in the mid lane. So Faker says, screw it, just give me the Cassiopeia right here.
Could be a flex as a result of that, but we've seen quite a few picks work into Galio. Victor for the scaling pick has been a recent one. Cassiopeia, especially early, which honestly, SKT can run away with the game early, but before the first item purchase, Galio has a hell of a time doing anything in that lane, as most melee versus Cassiopeia matchups go.
Shield of Durand only gets you so far, but Gragas will be taken. So still, some flexibility here for the ROX Tigers. There's always that outside chance that this Galio goes down to key as support, so never really know where it's going to end up. They can kind of move it around in their composition to react to this Cassiopeia pick.
Orianna pick into the Cassiopeia would be a nice laning matchup for Mickey.
Yeah.
Feels weird again to talk about the Ori, given that Galio is locked in, and it's Mickey who used to never play Orianna until this season.
Okay, well, there we go. Renekton, very early on the draft, will be taken through here for the ROX Tigers. So surprisingly, no bottom lane focus yet. And SKT, maybe they even just wait a little bit longer. Maybe they just go ahead and draft a top laner and try to avoid some bans out on Antara.
You could also just take the school of thought of picking what you want and banning strong champions against it. This season, Bang has been no fun. Varus and Ashe only, basically.
Hooray.
For the majority of the split, we'll be jumping on the Ashe. Ashe's been deprioritized in many of our recent games. People have been looking at Xayah, for example, and other laners. Songyun has played some Xayah, but his Kalista is the one that was tearing up the solo queue charts. And to really explain to viewers, how ROX Tigers have changed, they largely play around Songyun in summer season. It's not been the Mickey-focused team on Assassins or 1v1 duelists. It's been basically a team empowering Songyun to do work. We remember them running 4 tanks and a Kog'Maw in that series against Afrika.
Yeah.
So whether it was Kog'Maw or Kalista, they've been very lane-focused and trying to get Songyun into the late game, which is a lot when you're laning against Bang and Wolf. So Varus banned away, trying to get Songyun onto something a bit more risky. Will they ban the Kalista, though, which is certainly a possibility for Songyun?
Yeah, that was always one of his favorites. Think back to, even spring 2016 was one of the big piloters of that pick. But it's going to be the Xayah and Varus, so still just focusing out on Songyun entirely. So SKT, as you say, identify that Songyun is the carry force for the ROX Tigers, and they want to shut him down.
Thresh has gone pretty deep down pick and ban. It's been Key's most played champion this season, but again, when you've played it the most and your team hasn't won a lot, it's not a fantastic win-loss on that pick. Wolf has mostly been focusing on the disengage where possible. Bit of laning focus with the Lulu, but Braum 3-0 is Tom Kench 3-0.
Well, you mentioned the Lulu will be taken away.
Tahm Kench doesn't really have a lot of value against what's selected by the Tigers. You know, especially Galio and Gragas. Tahm Kench can be bullied by them a lot. Could still go there, but this is not the draft where it's strong, as Untara might be moving on to a pick that we've seen many top players consider, but not locked in that often. He'll actually be going for the Shen, interestingly, just a sustained matchup into the Renekton, but accepting they could be pushed in. If Galio gets going or gets a bit of coverage, he'll also have some quick push, so pushing power on the side of ROX, and maybe it's back to the 4 tanks and a Kog'Maw.
Did you see it come through? Karma not available. Almost said that she was, but yeah, that was banned away by the ROX Tigers as well as the Lulu. So not that much protection available unless they want to draft the Orianna, but it's really only one source of shielding.
So, looks like it may in fact be the Galio mid lane as we first suspected. Orianna was an outside chance of flexing the Galio to bot lane. Unless, oh, they played with our hearts there. I saw the Kassadin, thought maybe Mickey would return to his roots, but seeming unlikely.
Just playing around with our hearts. But Tahm Kench, the long hover makes sense. You have that Ashe pick coming through, just snatch him up, try to get him out of there. But it's actually going to be the Thresh at the last second, so heavy reliance on that Dark Passage.
It's also a bit more laning presence. Thresh, a better laner than Tahm Kench, especially early. SKT sees a draft like this, and one of the ways you can attack it is just lane swapping or mercilessly bullying the bot lane and stopping Kog'Maw from ever hitting good item timings, because Kog'Maw is one of the central factors for this particular draft. So maybe attacking the Kog'Maw or lane swapping on the Renekton, taking down his turret, taking down a Rift Herald. There's many ways to play around what ROX wants to do until Kog'Maw hits 5-6 items, and SKT don't intend to see those days come out on the Rift.
Yeah, not at all. Faker, expecting him to be as oppressive as humanly possible. We saw what he can do with his Cassiopeia versus the likes of Maple versus his fellow mid laners here in LCK. So Mickey should not expect to be treated any differently from those before him.
A lot of history between Mickey and Faker. The famous comment of Faker needs to practice more in response to Faker saying same words over to Mickey. They've ended up being empty words this year, but there's always the chance for a pop-off in the mid lane from one of these two.
See, those massive Galio taunts can set up, 3-4 members of SK Telecom there. If Mickey can land that, then perhaps Songyun, if he can hit his item timings, can just start ripping through and try to find a victory here for the ROX Tigers. Big uphill battle for these guys to put a win on the board. Want to hover around that mid spot for the end of this first round.
SKT's last game, or last series before the Telecom war. They just want to put this one in the books fast as possible.
All right, let's see what it's going to be on the clock when we close this one out and see who's going to be the victor. Let's go ahead, load up. Tigers versus SK Telecom T1.
We've been halted.
Aha! Surprise.
So. Even the crowd member was baited in that particular scenario.
Yeah, they started the cheer, and then it all got interrupted, and it sounds like the Korean commentators are having a nice little laugh over that one. As Castrogen's pointing them out in the audience.
The border thing there. Seems like it's a audio issue. I imagine it's with Key, who's on screen.
Try to get this taken care of. Might have been perhaps the problem that we had before that pick and ban started up. Maybe it came back to bite us in the rear.
Well, hopefully it just means that a headset is changed, and then we'll be A-OK. There's blank, cold-blooded killer on your screen. 15-0 on the year.
Something that I would have called you a lunatic for if you had told me this back in 2016 when he first started. I mean, you think to actually the first time that ROX Tigers and SKT clashed in the spring split, went 1-1, and then SKT kind of fearing that loss, said, okay, we'll put blank in. Because if we lose, like, oh, well, we had our new player. We wanted to give him some stage experience. They swapped Bangi out. They put blank in. They did lose that series.
And then second Telecom war that week was when Prophet made his debut also in Game 3. So you're right. They have rolled the dice in the Telecom war a couple of times. Still waiting to see what they run on Tuesday. Could very well be Huni and Peanut again for Game 1 at least. In this particular game, very clear comp idea from the ROX Tigers. Very, very beefy front lines. Not quite Zach Jarvan.
Oh,
Oh, the intro again.
All right, go. Cheer now. All right, still one person. Okay.
I like to think the rest of the ROX Tigers fans were baited.
It's a little imbalanced. Just slightly. They were outnumbered by probably about 300 people.
Well, Linderong also noted what Smeb did earlier on the Renekton. He also will be running the Marin skin.
Showing that respect to Marin. Ooh, that's a really good drawing.
That's some sick drawings.
I hope he gets that at the end of the day. When they go down to the fan meet, I hope they give that to him. Or at least he signs it for them.
I think one of those two things will 100% happen.
I would gift it to him because that's pretty badass.
Wolf is in a bit of a party of his own. A lot of seedlings on the ground.
That's one of those things where it's like you should just make those drawings on for the players on the day, and then just sell them for like $5 outside the stadium.
Well, I think that would probably be opposed when it comes to profiting off the lightness of SK Telecom players. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Do I endorse it? Not necessarily, but it's probably a pretty good idea economically.
I believe your exact sentence was, you know what you should do, and then you suggested it.
If you want to make some money.
That's the exact, so it's an endorsement then.
All right, whatever. You got me. Hard leash coming through here for Mighty Bear. I'll just go ahead and scoop up that red buff. So thank you very much. Path over towards the blue.
Meanwhile, Blank doesn't get any sort of hard leash. Doesn't have a Galio mid lane, which is your best friend as a jungler.
Really nice leash on the Raptors. But no, they say, you know, you're the one that's undefeated right now. You can do this all on your own.
There's too many worries on the side of SKT. Mickey's getting towards a minion wave against Faker's Cassiopeia. That's already a mini win.
Yeah. Not getting shut out completely. Feels pretty good. But in the end, it'll just be dead even across the board, 11-11 there, so no one being denied on either side. In the meantime, Untara having a bit of a rougher go up in that top side of the map.
Let's talk about the man in the middle. Man on your screen now, Blank, not you.
Well, now it's Mighty Bear. We don't want to talk about you.
But Blank has been really impressive because he's kind of been a fusion of what people loved about Peanut, you know, on his ROX Tigers days, and even towards the end of last season on his SKT days, and also the traditional Bengi style that most junglers play on SKT, because he's been able to still be, you know, there with more reliable warding, you know, on the right side of the map where he needs to be for a counter gank or make a gank. He hasn't been going for the overeager dives that Huni and Peanut have been guilty of. But he's also been surprisingly aggressive. Just think back to the Everate game 2, where he was ganking at level 2 into the mid lane. He's just picked his spots really smartly, but also been much more of the control jungler that Peanut just isn't natively as a player. And when both things are firing, when every champion in the meta looks like a very viable pick for Blank, compared to, what, a year ago when he was either on a super defensive farming jungler or you were worried, when everything's firing, I mean, Blank just looks like one of the world's best.
Yeah. Really has gotten the SK Telecom treatment. SKT effect just working him into shape. And Untara as well. I mean, a lot of people surprised when Untara got picked up. You know, just a solo queue player, but he's been performing very well on a team. And this is another guy that came off of CJ Entis from last year.
I think a lot of the experts in Korea were really talking more about where he will go, because Untara having 2 accounts in top 5 challenger is an insane feat. And right now, he has 3, I think, in master or higher. He has been an excellent solo queue player. Sure, he had not the best time on CJ Entis, but there's already now multiple examples of players who've stepped up from there. But it does really endorse, you know, another way to approach getting on a top pro team. He chose to take that time off. Like, we can't know for sure if he had offers that he declined, but the impression is that he wanted to better himself in solo queue. Certainly was able to do that. Got the biggest ask you could ever get in terms of being asked to join SKT. And he's 7-0 in his own right.
Yeah. He's been doing a wonderful job.
In the shade of the 15-0, but 7-0 is still a streak.
Yeah. It's doing quite nicely. Isn't that a round where Prophet made it? And then he has finally lost? I feel like it was something similar.
Rumble a lot of times.
And Nautilus. Every time. little bit of trading here. Key going to go wide on that death sentence. Can't lock in Wolf, and he is going to get punished for that miss. Bang just firing away, forcing him out of the lane.
Saying goodbye to some builds also by the end of this week. Triple Doran's ring coming through from Mickey.
Thank Lord. Thank Lord. Thank the Lord.
I thought you wanted to thank Lord, the famous recording artist of our Spring 2016 song.
Thank you for, letting us use your song.
Songyun just wave clearing. SKT have pressure in the bottom lane. Mid lane still going all right for the side of Mickey, all things considered. Only one CS behind, and Antara gonna be more about farming up in the early game, just trying not to get pressured in by that of Linderung.
They go on a bit of a walkabout here.
Well, they do have the potential to push and roam from both mid and top lane. Looking to see what they can do. The turret dive on Antara, that's a tricky one to pull off.
Yeah, not sure how they'll go about this one. The stun already comes through here. Antara just going to go ahead and flash Shadow Dash away. Linderung, I think, a couple turret shots. But this does open up for quite a bit of damage that could come through. Antara will be recalling. And does he TP back in to try to defend this?
Linderung's dominance does run out, so less likely that he would be turret dive. Finally will teleport in late. Ash was considering going top lane to try and enact a lane swap quite early after Bilgewater or BF Sword. That's usually the timing. They seem to be comfortable enough to extend the laning phase and allow Antara to go a bit longer. He actually rushed to Tiamat, so it's going to be more about wave clearing rather than being able to walk up to Linderung.
Can duel with him a little bit more than before, but yeah, just wants to try to make up for the CS deficit that he's found himself in.
The theory is that if you go Ninja Tabi and get in any way rotated on, like a turret dive attempt, it doesn't really change anything. If you go Ninja Tabi, you're going to be pushed in so hard that it's kind of irrelevant that you're a bit less likely to die. So it's for lane control. You just have to skillfully position and avoid taking excess damage. So I understand the Tiamat, even though it looks like a disrespectful choice on paper, going AD into a Renekton.
Blank looking for the invade there on the red buff. Won't be able to find it. But now has a nice wraparound opportunity. Flash forward for the root. Not going to find it. Death Sentence connects in onto Bang, but now Key in a world of trouble. The play comes through right after the resonating strike, and he has to flash away. So 3 summoner spells used in the bottom lane for the one of SK Telecom.
And because Bang was tanking aggro, able to pull the minion wave pretty well here, was Bang. Means that to keep it in a good spot. Has the Bilgewater, so not concerned about losing health. Linderung starting the proxy, and they already have this turret very low on the top side.
And a very rough spot now is Antara. So dash through, trades back quite a bit of damage here. But the turret is still suffering, and the swap is going to be enacted here by Key and Songyun as they make their way up towards the top side of the map. So want to get the break on that first brick. And
also want to avoid a very tricky scenario where Ash is going to have arrow, and they had all 3 summoners down.
Thank you, says Mickey.
That's why they're looking for a dive here, ROX. They're going to try to zone Antara off. It will be first brick to the side of ROX Tigers. Yeah. They've already started their recalls, because of course it's pre-10 minutes, so there is no Rift Herald to be claimed at the same time. And it does mean that the time was wasted and the CS lead will grow for Bang, and now they will still have to lane with no summoners against Ash Zyra.
So I'll take the good with the bad. First brick does come through, gives the team an overall lead, but like you said, Bang is going to be in a nice, comfortable spot where he's currently 26 CS ahead, looking to extend that even further. Won't be able to deny anything from this wave, so Songyun will be able to get most of these back. As long as he can get the last hits in, because he does have to play respectfully to Wolf. Doesn't want to get locked down and take a bit of damage from those plants.
So tricky here for ROX with, again, no summoners. Ash Zyra with massive burst between the two. So it'd have to be very steady on the side steps. Blank is bot lane, but Mighty Bear spotted also. SKT, speaking of keeping tabs, own the vision in the red side jungle of ROX Tigers, so Mighty Bear gets called away as well.
Yeah, Blank's just going to go ahead and start up this dragon. They see Mighty Bear coming over, so they are prepared for this. Do they just want to peel off or pull it out? Seems like with Faker arriving, they're going to go ahead and commit into this one. Mickey could arrive with the hero's entrance.
He's a really high-value Drake getting mounted with Cassiopeia and Blade the Ruin King Ash.
Mighty Bear is already into the pit. Does he want to play forward? The rest of the squad is here. Antara ready to go with the stand united. Ash Arrow comes through, and he actually gets it. Mighty Bear takes this one away, pays for this one with his life, but finds the steal.
Hey, usually a kill for a Drake is an interesting trade to evaluate. Denying Mountain from SKT's specific comp is of pretty high value. If Mighty Bear didn't use his flash, you might have said worth, but using his flash makes it...
This is true. A lot of gank pressure now alleviated.
Smite not working for Blank, who's been very on point with those in recent times. But SKT not going to be too big of an objective to give up, all things considered.
Mickey, look at the trade here on Faker. Gets quite a bit of damage down. Knocks him to about half, and Linderong was with the roam. So Faker just going to cheat back down through the river, wrap around, and catch these minions.
Mickey already sitting on a mountain of magic resist.
Yep.
Given that Faker will have to focus on his building block items like the Rod of Ages, the Void Staff is still a long way away. Probably just going to be a farm fest for Faker and try to find any champion that isn't Mickey in a team fight with his damage rotations.
ROX, they're going to start up this Rift Herald here. Mighty Bear maybe going to solo this one out.
So interestingly, the ward over was spotted by Untara, so he's pretty confident that Mighty Bear is on this Rift Herald, but no response from Faker and Blank, who just seem to want to keep working around the weak bottom lane from ROX. And I don't mind this decision because we already said it's about hitting gold values for the Kog'Maw for this comp to make sense. If he does no damage, the team will struggle, and Kog'Maw is going to fall further behind. Going to recall now, try to group with the team, and the Rift Herald buff that Mighty Bear is just about to complete.
Yep. We'll come through, see which part of the map they want to open up with this. Could be the bottom lane where they've been struggling, or maybe they just want to shatter the mid and try to take control over this topside jungle.
Taking Cassiopeia's turret is always a big thing because she doesn't really have the ability to find safe spots. If you push her in, and then she shoves pretty slowly, so you're able to, from there, quite comfortably rotate around the Cassiopeia and have her second to every action. Speaking of being second, here's the ROX Tigers.
And Blank, like it's the red buff, and seems like Mighty Bear still not that interested in taking this one away. Wolf was out of lane, so they know that he was roaming up towards the mid. So very easily could have turned the tide. And there's also that Stand United that you have to keep tabs of.
It's another game where the unfancy team has a gold lead early. It's obviously nothing to write home about at just 300. But SKT have been focusing all their resources on shutting down the bot lane by invading mercilessly on this red side.
Hook will connect in on a Blank. Do they want to pursue this? The answer is going to be no. So Songyun cheating forward, but even then, it's just not enough. And Rift Herald's actually going to be used for this tier 2 up in the top lane where Untara, he's all by himself. Nobody else is nearby. They might actually lose this inner turret.
It's with no minion wave, but remember the backdoor decrease in damage or increase in tankiness on the turret doesn't apply when the Rift Herald goes in, so they will get the inner turret, Kilios.
Yeah, not looking great here, so they do go ahead, take that one down. Tier 1 being focused by SK Telecom on the bottom side of the map. We'll be able to find this as Untara finishes off that Rift Herald before it can get a charge in onto the inhib turret. But yeah, ROX Tigers, good movements around the map. They maintain a very slight gold lead, but now have that top side very much opened up.
It is opened up, but the question is, can you return to the top lane and profit from how much pressure you've created with the minions pushed in? Because suddenly, Renekton's going to be hopelessly overextended if he tries to meet a minion wave. Shen can just clear waves with his Tiamat and join, and actually profiting off such an early inner turret is surprisingly difficult to perform. It almost feels like you go back to where the Flame Horizon term first came, when it was Ignite Shyvana in the top lane, freezing around this area. And while it won't be freezing, growing leads in that side can be really difficult to engineer, and SKT seem to be happy to give up immediate gold to the side of ROX Tigers and just continue to settle on trying to keep Kog'Maw as far down as possible.
So far, so good in that regard. Blade of the Rune King completed for both of these ADCs. So Songyun maybe looking for a second item. QSS has the null magic mantle there in the inventory.
Big advantage for ROX Tigers is around vision in the red side jungle of SKT, but that only gets them Baron. And I think SKT are confident that Baron will not be an objective for the ROX Tigers anytime soon.
I mean, it's also 5 minutes away, so plenty of time for that vision to expire and to clear out that one control ward that is sitting in there. So SKT in that regard are in a very nice position.
And the only reason you bring it up at this early time is because you think about what double turrets in a side lane offers. With the minion waves pushing in, it does let them walk into the red side a lot. But like you say, thought for another time.
Well, that's going to be the root coming through. Ash arrow thrown down as well, and Mickey's going to get kicked in. The taunt will connect on the two members, but Bang is still firing away. Faker arriving at the last second to toss that Miasma to get a nice little assist, but the kill goes over to Bang. 2-0 here for SK Telecom, and they take the cold lead.
It's basically Mickey playing in one of the few areas where ROX Tigers don't have an advantage, so SKT happy to turn on him. No advanced vision in that area means that he overextends, even as a super tanky adaptive helm already complete Galio.
Now it's all going to come down to these next 30 seconds before that Infernal Drake spawns. See ROX really heavily prioritizing, trying to get some vision control here. Faker trying to zone them back, but he is a lone snake lady. And there's nothing more he can really do by himself. Needs the pressure of others to help take control over this spot.
Infernal Drake about to spawn. That one is going to be something contested. Necton hasn't been able to push up to the inhibitor turret, so not going to be that much pressure on Untara, who will be able to leave with the level 2 stand united pretty comfortably. Watching the mid lane here, just trading a farm, but it's the calm before the storm, and the storm is represented on that map by the Infernal Drake.
Just trying to zone him back. Infernal is up, has been leashed out of the pit. Mighty Bear already coming up with 1 steal. Can he replicate it here a second time?
Warden behind, so that's the teleport.
TP's coming through. Infernal Drake does get finished off. Faker now turning in onto Linderong. The stun comes down. He throws out the Petrifying Gaze. A lot of damage in onto the Renekton as he dashes out. Mickey comes in with that hero's entrance. Justice punch in onto Blank. The taunt not going to find anything because he was rooted down. But it seems like SKT happy to go their separate ways. They got the TP out, only had to invest the Stand United, and they get the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, the Stand United probably didn't need to be used in hindsight, but it also caused the full disengage from the ROX Tigers. When they saw a challenge, here's the engage.
Body slam, Bang with a very nice flash. The backside of that explosive cast takes himself out to safety, so not going to get caught this time. So very nicely done by him. To remain deathless for the moment, but will be that much more susceptible now.
ROX Tigers managing the top side, got them as Mickey thinking about the flash,
Punch,
gets it.
The flash in, Hook lands in onto Blank, he goes low, almost goes down, but they still haven't finished him off. In the meantime, the Strangledorns get the pop up in onto Mickey. He gets taunted right away after Antara arrives on the backside of the teleport. Faker still firing away the Twin Fangs into the rears of ROX Tigers, and they'll just lose 2 off this.
He engages too far away from his DPS threats, and crucially, Akila, as we mentioned a couple of times, the big loser in the early game was Sangyun, who doesn't have the damage to actually profit from such a big engage. Just Blade the Ruin King isn't a damage timing to allow him to take advantage of the big engage from Mickey. So ROX Tigers kind of misunderstanding where they're strong. We'll see the replay. Mickey's alone, going super, super deep, and sure, Key launches himself in, but if you watch Sangyun's contribution, it's 2 auto attacks, and then he starts walking away because he's zoned. He knows that Mickey's life is being given in vain. It's not Mickey dying slowly as Kog'Maw is free hitting with the Hurricane, with the Blade of the Ruin King. It's 1 item Kog'Maw. No ability to take advantage of that. Back to the drawing board for the ROX Tigers.
Nicely done here by SK Telecom, finally growing a lead for themselves. Nearly 2,000 up at the moment, and now have that Infernal Drake in their back pocket, which just makes Faker that much scarier as the item scalings continue. 4 stacks on that Dark Seal. Don't think we're going to be seeing it onto a Medjai's, but you never know. It's Faker. Could happen. Either way, the tiers going through in the Rod of Ages has already been completed, so the stacks will be rolling in for that as well. So everything seeming to be on pace for him in the mid lane, and Bang is still just having a go of it as far as his 1v1 is considered against the enemy ADC.
And Sangyun has already had to slow down his build and build a QSS, which really, with this particular team comp, I'm not a big fan of. He has so many people in front of him to tank arrows, and also Key, who can just hang back instead of looking for an engage hook. That I don't really see QSS being what the team needs. They desperately need something like a Hurricane or just a Zeal item being completed. As Blank's invading, it's onto Mighty Bear. Won't actually get the kill, but like you say, Dark Passage, but a blue buff stolen away from Mickey.
Nicely done. I don't think Mickey is going to be that worried about being denied the blue buff, but still just a nice takeaway here for SKT as they continue to work their way forward. I mean, it was a decent-looking start for the ROX Tigers, but now starting to slip up. SKT turning on.
Yes, the areas where ROX Tigers gained advantages were areas that, like kind of we were speculating, are very difficult to get more from. They have never been able to push the minions into the top lane inhibitor, not a realistic objective for them to attack. And did they have the latitude to give up the Drakes, which were the early objective, and also farm onto the Kog'Maw and make this comp work? And sure, there is still a reality where they do, but first instinct is that no, probably was too much of a cost. A couple of overextensions playing around Vision bot side, which is not what they gained with the Rift Herald, and all the top side play have meant that SKT have all the kills this game. It's kind of surreal that the Tigers have been ahead for the majority, but still haven't picked up a #1 in that column.
Well, that's going to be the Ash Arrow out here from Bang. Flash forward and finds Strangledorn's thrown down. Mickey's still very tanky, just as punches himself away, but Blank comes in on the backside, kicks him into the wall, and will finish him off with that Sonic Wave Resonating Strike combo. Meantime, though, ROX not wasting any time, moving for the mid lane, trying to get some damage down onto this. Did not take the turret, but Faker's going to try to defend. Death Sentence way off on the side. And Faker clears out the minions, but one more wave. This could go down. Actually, Mighty Bear will just take this one up. Petrifying Gaze not going to find anything as Faker flashes in. The explosive cast knocks him in, and he very well may go down. A couple more hits will finish him off. He does go down in the end, but it's still going to be the 2-for-1 as Untara picks up the double kill.
Yeah, Faker happy to walk up, buy time, had trust in Untara coming through on the stand. United may have given up his life.
And the turret did not go down.
Exactly. Leaves the turret up. They go 3-for-1 in the trade.
Wow.
Faker was very likely to die in that scenario, but think about it. If he didn't die, if he had got a pick and got out, could have even been Baron to SKT after those particular picks.
Well, nicely done there by Faker. Pays for that with his life, but still holds on to the turret. 107 HP on that. So Morel and Omicron finished for him, just working his way, getting stronger and stronger as time goes on. And the gold lead just keeps on moving forward, inching ahead, nearly 3,000 now here at the 22-minute mark. So definitely not the largest lead that we've seen for SKT at this point, but ROX, they had the early game, and now they're paying for it. Ash Arrow comes out, not going to find anything. That's actually just connect in, but the kick knocks back Songyun. Resonating Strike not followed through from Blank. Has to get himself out of there, and actually they're going to turn in onto Wolf. They take him down.
And good timing. Actually, the decision to go in from ROX Tigers was smart because they knew that Stand United was on cooldown. Cassiopeia was walking to bot lane, so it was even better than ROX Tigers expected. This turret will go down, of course. Would have gone down to a stiff breeze. But ROX, in one of the few moments where they could make a proactive move and not have a reaction from SKT, make the right decision. And another sign that, sure, likely to go down this game, but there's still something about the ROX Tigers to separate them from the pack.
Faker's trying to solo out this Cloud Drake. The rest of ROX starting to pile their way down. Miasma thrown in. And there it is, right in time. Last second before that Twin Fang connected. Mighty Bear does come up with a second steal. This time in about a 1v1 against the Cassiopeia, who does not have Smite, but still picks up the Cloud Drake. And that's 2 stacks for the Elder over to the ROX Tigers. Tara will go ahead and chip away at that turret and finish it off. So now all of the outers except for the mid have fallen. SKT going to be looking for that one soon.
And I really like that you bring up the Elder, because the Elder will be when finally Songyun will have some items. Because right now, finding a site to fight at in 15 minutes is relevant for ROX. Songyun is so far behind after going QSS, being down in CS, being left on an island despite being the only threat, that he needs the time desperately, and that's why SKT is like, let's fight for everything right now before Songyun has any items.
The Scry Orb's coming through, and they saw Linderong on the bottom lane. They know that he doesn't have teleport, so they feel more than happy to start this one up. Jar goes forward. Mickey comes up with a massive taunt, and now Songyun just free firing away, comes up with the first kill as Wolf goes down. He does get popped up, takes a lot of damage from the plants, but SKT are sent scattering. They want to try to turn this one around. Linderong getting ready to arrive at the fight. Another taunt coming through here from Mickey, finds 2 members. Linderong's on the backside, Blank trying to lifesteal his way back up off the red buff. Flash away from Untara, might not even take him out the safety. Gets the taunt in on the Linderong, the stun comes through. They will let him go his separate way. But that was a massive turnaround for the ROX Tigers, and all of it really on the backside of Mickey with that huge taunt.
Looking for another taunt onto Bang, who skirts around the AoE. He's going to ult out of it. They actually turn onto Baron here. Not a lot of vision from SKT. They only have the Scuttle Crab vision.
Tara comes back in here with the TP, gets latched in onto Songyun. He goes low. One more
DPS
shot would take him down, but they're just trying to keep him gated out. But Bang finds the first kill in onto Mickey. They take down Key. They take down Songyun, and that is a triple kill coming through. Can they find more? Will be denied the Quadra, but the ace off the backside of a big botched Baron start. SK Telecom fire right back around.
Yeah, it's really strange to see ROX Tigers make the call onto Baron. That does betray their 1 and 5 status. Speaking of turning onto Baron, maybe the trio start here from SKT as Cassiopeia comes in. ROX Tigers, they got their advantage. They could have pulled away. But after Mickey just Justice punches out, given that Bang was skirting around the AoE. It didn't need to be a Baron start. The same points are still there. Super low damage comp, low health bars after the fight. And once Untara comes in, it feels like DPS Shen, because he's able to go on the backline, everyone's squishy, and he can ignore Sungyun's damage, because it's still not formidable.
Bang. Just beautiful target selection, just going through, finishing off everybody. Blank nearly dies. Gets that safeguard right at the end.
Smited the Baron also for HP.
Whew. Well, beautifully done. In a micro aspect by SK Telecom. Bang and Blank both keeping themselves up. And they come up with the Baron in the end, albeit a little bit delayed.
If you think back to all these bottom place teams, BBQ, ROX, Tigers, MVP, these teams struggling at the bottom of the table, it always seems to be the same factor of, well, they can get ahead. You know, they have some good players, they make some good decisions, but then it gets to the point where they're like, wait, how do we win? Or where are we strong? And these are questions that it feels like all these teams kind of don't understand. They don't understand that, hey, we're strong on the top side. Let's try to do things there. Right now, that's unfortunately going to leave Sungyun on an island. That's not ideal. Okay, let's just pull back, farm a bit more, try to keep the ward line strong, and get Sungyun to item timings. Instead, they choose to engage at poor times, and in the end, the first engage was fine, but then they go for the Baron with very low Baron damage, low health bars, and Sungyun not even primed to take it quickly, and then they end up being surprised and the Baron goes over to SKT. So you can kind of see where the fundamental failings are, but the end result is that SKT, by hook or by crook, 5,000 gold ahead.
Oh, they're going to go ahead and add a little bit more to that one. Make it 6. Why not? As they finally finish off that outer turret in mid, all of those having been broken now. You can see Untara very handily taking on Linderong. Wraparound comes through here from Bang. He will get played back. Hook going to go wide yet again, but the jump in comes through. They lock him down. Sungyun firing away, and the Stand United tries to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but Untara, in the end, it's just not going to be enough. Bang comes in with slightly suboptimal pathing.
Well, he went for a gank as an
okay,
Ashe.
Faker.
As Faker's doing a lot of damage under the turret.
Bold for not having the Seraph's Embrace completed.
Not sure about Bang walking through an area with very limited vision to look for a gank onto a Renekton, but that's what happened. Counterpoint is that Faker was pushing in the bot lane, so they were able to get map pressure in other areas, but unnecessary death from Bang.
Yeah.
Ruins what has been otherwise a very good game for Bang.
Yeah, 4-1-6 his first death there. Has the QSS for himself and is still items ahead of Sungyun.
Very early into his armor penetration item, and finishing a Last Whisper item this early in the game means that even the strength of the ROX Tigers, the very robust front line, is going to be largely shredded. Worth noting the armor values are amusingly not that high yet, as the Glacial Shroud is just completed on the side of Gragas, but
there's a Warden's Mail on Linderong. They need it.
The healing reduction is actually very relevant for the team of ROX Tigers, so it's still not terrible, but perhaps not the highest damage yield. Freak is always big on the Infinity Edge early, and this is definitely a game where Infinity Edge would have been a lot more damage than his choice of itemization.
We'll just slow down the pace of the game here after Bang's unfortunate death. Might have another one soon. Walks around, gets the Ash Arrow in onto Linderong as the Dominus gets popped. And now he's going to be peeling back. Knows he's in a bad spot. Might have to flash out of here. Hook comes through. He hasn't cast it yet. There we go. QSS is off that Death Sense. Get himself out to safety in the meantime. Faker finishing off that Cloud Drake. We'll make it a 2-2 as far as the stack count goes. And he's just going to keep pushing up that bottom lane. Elder Dragon going to be the next one that spawns. Bang stays alive in the end.
Bang taking the sacrificial lamb approach, giving up his flash for a Cloud Drake. Not sure if that's worth, but regardless, Faker is just doing Faker things, which very often does represent the split push in a side lane. End result is that he will end up honestly having pretty low kill participation numbers, just like we saw from the graphic in Game 1 of Pawn being very much low on the kill participation, but that's because you see where he's parked. Much like Crown and Faker spend a lot of time in the side lanes picking up farms so that regardless of how laning phase goes, he can be team fight ready and with good item spikes.
Yeah, just at 50% at the moment. 6 out of that 12. But you can see here, SKT just completely commanding the jungle at the moment. Last couple buffs have been taken away by Blank, and this one is going to follow that path. Serap's Embrace has been completed for Faker. It's like now seeking that Void Staff with that Blasting Wand in the inventory. Could change things up a little bit. You never know really where you want to go.
And again,
I would expect the Magic Pen.
And again, the take-home message for fans is remember that, what, 15 minutes ago? Well, that one I didn't need to remind, but remember 15 minutes ago, Rift Herald used to take in a top lane turret. I don't think the minion wave has ever been past halfway in the top lane since that point. They've never been able to get any advantages from it, whereas the Kog'Maw being behind has been the largest factor for ROX Tigers being unable to pick the fights they drafted for. They have a lot of frontline, they have a lot of engage, but with Songyun short of items, they could never really pull the trigger on the engage, and now the control ward line moves forward from SKT. Even the jungle camps, blue and red, are being contested. They're probably never going to get the fight they're looking for, as everyone's rushing for the cute Pugmore. I'm not going to get him.
Yep, nope. His owner said you're not allowed to pet him. Bit of a biter.
His bite seems pretty soft in this. It's pretty tame.
It's a nibble. He's still teething.
I think he's gnawing at things rather than any sort of bite. SKT, again, pushing up the vision line. This is the sort of Baron vision we like to strive to see from the teams at the bottom, but so rarely get. Cassiopeia going back for another item buy. Feels like Baron will be on the menu basically off spawn. 45 seconds to that, and I hear your greeting. That means that the Void Staff is completed for Faker, and anyone who looked like they're going to be pretty tanky to Faker, even with the Adaptive Helm, Mickey is going to start struggling for that Cassiopeia damage.
Nearly 2,000 gold up over Mickey. Putting him in a very poor spot because he's not nearly as tanky as he would like to be. Members of SKT have been fed too much gold.
He's at 3 items, so this is probably going to be the strongest he will be in a long time.
Yeah, Rageblade completed.
He's on the Rageblade hype train. Was when he innovated the on-hit build. That was the last time Kog'Maw was in meta.
Yeah. Now
a big fan of a Rageblade 3rd. May still go for Infinity Edge as a 4th or 5th item, but he's hit his item timing finally. Can ROX Tigers find the 50-50 fight they're looking for, though, as the vision advantage is very much on the side of SKT. Shen in the bot lane, level 18 already. Things certainly got better for Untara after being a bit of a struggle early.
Starting to sweep their way through that jungle are the ROX Tigers to try to regain some control. Baron has spawned. SKT maybe looking for a pick. Try to start this one up. Big push coming forward into the top lane. Ping's coming out. They know that Songyun's waiting in the brush. They want to go for this one. They might have their eyes on Bang, but he's going to go ahead and kite back.
He suspects they're in the brush, doesn't actually catch them with the Hawk shot. Or just choose to back away. And the calm phase of this game feels like the next team fight goes SKT's way, may actually herald the end of the game. But the wave clear is good on the side of ROX Tigers, so while red buffs and blue buffs are being contested, Baron buff hasn't been started, and the game does stall further the side of ROX Tigers.
Approaching 35 minutes. So decent holdout from these guys, despite the fact that they've been in a deficit for quite some time now. They haven't really been clawing their way back in. It's been a steady increase for SKT overall.
It's key, trying to get a pick. Strong initiation from ROX, but a lot of it pretty transparent. Getting a ward advantage makes things like the death sentence and even the cask a bit more reliable for engage. Predictably, Faker in a side lane, picking up farm, Shen and Renekton, having a wet noodle fight in the bot lane, waiting for the first Ash Arrow to really force something, but for now, there's been quite a lot of parity on the Rift, which we didn't necessarily expect 35 minutes into ROX Tigers versus SKT Game 1.
Yeah, definitely not. But I mean, ROX, you know, they started off the game very well, and that has kind of helped set them up for this hold that they've got going on for them as they just try to stack items in onto Songyun.
He's got a BF sword on the way to the Infinity Edge. Could even be the Mercurial Scimitar.
Oh.
First, as
sweep coming through, the pings are coming out.
Ready for that fight.
Bang is not there, so there's not as much damage in onto the Baron. Scrying Plant will reveal this. SKT seems like they want to peel off. The TP's now coming through as Linderong comes in on the front side of the fight, looking for Bang to lock him down. Instead, goes straight in onto Blank, dashes over the wall, looking for Wolf, just trying to find one squishy member of SK Telecom doesn't find really any for the kill.
And SKT just have Untara walk up, doesn't use Standing Light, doesn't teleport, and our teleport advantage is there for SKT. They turn on Galio.
Ash Arrow comes down, and he is just getting melted down. The shield hits, but it might not be enough to keep him alive. Dark Passage takes him out, but Mickey, he goes back forward and straight into the face of Blank, where Faker and Bang are waiting with the damage to finish him off. Artillery from the Pug Maul nearly kills the Ash, but just still can't quite find it. Pick opening here for SKT, but they're pretty weakened, and it seems like they don't want to contest this Baron yet. ROX, in the meantime, are starting this up, but Faker's down over at the Elder Dragon.
You're not spotted in vision, but it's smart of ROX Tigers to start the Baron, force the positioning. Faker gets the call, they're like, hey, they don't know you're there, but it's a tussle between the two.
It's a game of chicken. Faker not sure what he should do. Seems like he's going to commit the roaming back up here to try to contest this Baron. It's down to about half HP as SKT starts poking their faces in here. That sentence connects, the box comes down, Blank knocked over to the side, still has not died, and Songyun so low on the backside of the fight, has to kite his way out of here. The flashes coming through, Sonic Wave not going to connect. The Drung just gets slowed up, but the roots will not hit as he takes that blast cone over the wall. SKT still on the hunt. Enchanted Crystalline Arrow nearly off cooldown. If they can get the slow up, that could be it. Death Sentence in on the Faker, pops that Seraph's Embrace shield, keeps him alive, and he takes down Songyun in the end. Untara coming through with the Stand United to help out. Now Linderon going for a big ride, but he's taking Blank along with him and will take him down as the kill comes through from Mighty Bear. Ash Arrow connects, but out of mana is Bang. Couldn't quite get into position, and Faker's not there to follow up with the damage. So after a massive scuffle back and forth from the Elder Dragon to the Baron, SKT put a couple extra kills on the board, but nobody gets an objective.
Yeah, Mickey was dead this whole time. The hook comes in onto Lee Sin. No kill is confirmed. Songyun falls so low in the back line. Then Untara starts to get kited. So the fight could have gone either way. Faker only now grouping with his team, but getting a single pick proved so difficult. However, SKT, they had very clear target selection, weren't interested in killing Thresh. They knew if Songyun dies, a 5v5 almost certainly doesn't go against them. Hogmore turns around when he sees the miss on the Petrifying Gaze, but is still standing in the Miasma, does go down first.
My mind's telling me move.
Yeah, it was a huge ride by Blank there. Wasn't Lee Syndrome, just ended up being particularly amusing by the end. 1-for-1 means no one can turn on to Baron, and now Faker, he finds his true nemesis once again.
Yeah. Well, Blank's body told him yes, but now Faker, he might have to rethink this. We'll be taking this faster than ROX is currently taking the Baron, but now with Songyun walking over, that might change. We'll see. He's going to finish this one out. The rest of SKT getting ready to push in here for the contest. Blank not in the pit, will not be able to get the smite away. Now he's going to be targeted out, dashes away with the safeguard to keep himself alive, and Tara flayed back in, goes low, has to shadow dash out to safety.
It's Faker.
Sun comes through, but now Faker is arriving. This is going to be that double Elder Dragon buff coming through. Mickey goes back in with the Justice Punch, massive taunt, just trying to buy time for the rest of his team. And it seems like SKT will let them go. They deny one Baron buff, get the Elder Dragon for themselves. Can they get more?
Very peculiar that they kept opting into it. Felt like Faker had confidence that his team would be able to dissuade ROX from ending the Baron. But in both cases, ROX this time had vision in the area, knew that Faker was there, got the full confirmation when the Rift Herald was completed, and made the smart choice to finish the Baron, take the smite, and the game extends past 40 minutes. And while it still feels like SKT, they're growing a gold league, 8,000 at 38 minutes gets less and less important. Also, Songyun gets closer to 6-item Kog'Maw.
Yeah. He's got to be nearing that. Haven't been able to see.
He's been on these items for a while, so I feel like he's picking up minion waves and going for a straight Infinity Edge buy very soon.
Seems very likely.
He's calling off Renekton, so it feels like he's probably bot lane minion wave away from Infinity Edge, which is going to be a significant spike.
Well, Mickey's got a couple hats. Adaptive Helm and that Abyssal.
Abyssal's Mask. Abyssal Mask, there we go.
Still kind of it's something you wear on your head.
It's true. I'm not disagreeing with you, Achilles, on that one.
He's wearing the mask under the helm, I suppose.
It does mean that so much damage has to be dumped if you fight front to back, you know, which means taking down the front line. Cassiopeia will have an exercise in frustration taking down Renekton and Galio specifically. The double Adaptive Helm being complete. And Galio has gone for the I'm going to initiate a couple of times build. Going for the Gargoyle Stoneplate as well. 2,000 gold on this Kog'Maw, so super close to that Infinity Edge that he desperately needs.
for now. SK Telecom not giving up a single turret. That bottom outer, the key target for ROX Tigers with this Baron buff, eluding them so far. This Elder Dragon buff, though, is about to expire. So SKT will be fighting Baroned up ROX Tigers members without it.
Watching that buff bar right now, just about time out. Yep, there it is.
There we go. Whereas Baron still has about 25% ready to go on it, but still ROX not sure if they'll really be able to net themselves anything with this.
And it's surreal to see the game extending. SKT's been good at completing games a lot earlier. Right now, the vision game has started to slow down from them. Not a lot of advanced vision on either sides of the jungle. Pushing waves, but not much more than that. Infinity Edge is complete by Songyun. So the 5v5 now, that kind of had an air of inevitability 20 minutes ago. It's starting to get a little bit less sure when it comes to access to the backline. Blank is really the only one from SKT that can skirt past the strong front line and get to Songyun, barring some significant misplay. Standing gold on the map. Goodbye to the last outer turret of the game. See what SKT want to do. Once again, Faker in a side lane, and ROX Tigers, they're just trying to push with Baron and get multiple objectives. But speaking of multiple objectives, SKT are not recalling.
Yeah, they say screw it. Screw this inner turret here in the top lane. They want the inhib, but they might be pace racing ROX Tigers for it.
Mickey can walk up and do some wave clear, but they will lose mid lane inhibitor.
Bot being taken now. As Faker does arrive in the bottom side of the map to try to hold on to this, and ROX, they might just have to concede.
Really want to pick it up with the W duration up. Songyun can get free hits onto the inhibitor.
He's firing away, and Faker hasn't really found the in yet, but have to try to delete him. The
Interrupt.
death sense comes down. Yeah, Undara gonna get interrupted, goes dangerously low. Faker tries to finish him off, and he gets him in the end. Songyun gets taken down. That sends back in onto Faker, but he is just firing away, finishing off Key. He'll walk forward, trying to maybe get a few desperate last hits in onto that inhib, but it's a far cry from going down. In the meantime, SK Telecom coming up the kill on the top side of the map as Linderong falls. Key is going for a bit of a walk, but two inhibs going to be broken, and maybe just the end of the game because Songyun is dead for 40 more seconds, and Bang is full HP in the base.
Under pressure, ROX Tigers wilt as Key cannot back, stuck in the enemy base, might have to execute himself just to end his suffering, but Achilleos, they just ignored the fact that Faker ignored two members and just killed Songyun straight up. No peel, just dies. And that means also the hopes of the ROX Tigers die with it.
Well, 15 seconds here. They might not be able to finish off this game yet. Bang firing away into Mighty Bear, who's still very tanky on the Gragas. They get the one Nexus turret, but they will be exiting the base. Faker brings up the bottom wave. We'll be looking for that final outer or inner turret. Final turret outside of the base.
To understand how Faker got free access to the MVP of the ROX Tigers comp, the VIP, which is the Kog'Maw sitting at 6 items. Just let Cassiopeia run up to him. Didn't seem like they could choose between peeling for the Kog'Maw and killing that inhibitor. As I see you still sniggering about Key's misfortune in the base. Watch the replay. Songyun here, remember, he does everything.
Key. I'm laughing at Songyun.
He's the one sieging. He's the one that needs to be safe. Great interrupt from Key, but he uses everything to interrupt the Shen, and so Songyun just dies. Sure, he could have gone on a ride with the Dark Passage, but would have died anyway. They just would have turned in that direction, and they cannot afford to just let their Kog'Maw, that little pug, die for free. And Mickey and Linderong doing their best wave clear in the face of multiple members, and Faker just leaves Linderong to have endless suffering.
You mean Key?
Yes, Key. My bad.
Linderong died. His suffering was very short, actually. Bang made certain of that. But now Super Creep's pushing in the top and mid sides of the map. 45 seconds on that Baron. So much pressure inside of the base here for the ROX Tigers that they have to get cut through in order to contest.
And recall that they didn't get the inhibitor, and Songyun gave up his life, so it was a double whammy for the side of ROX Tigers, and 2 inhibitors down for the SKT side of things. A big trade up from them.
They didn't have a ward on the inhib, but it actually just expired, so no chance of a TP play to try to backdoor that one. But even then, would it really have been worth it?
It's the things that both teams will be left to ponder. And Tara just bringing up a minion wave. No action between the Crocodile and the Ninja at this point in the game. Songyun was hoping to at least poke away the Banshee Veil, but no dice. There it is.
All right, well, Baron is up. Gets started by SK Telecom. immediately, but they will peel back. The plan's keeping it leash, at least for the moment. They want to stick in onto this one. The healing is coming through as Faker goes back in. Plenty of damage with this Cassiopeia, and they just need to gate out Mighty Bear if they can keep him away from the pit. Sun comes through, Baron going low, and he has to take the Dark Passage out, so Baron will be conceded over to SKT.
Super clean stuff from the side of SKT. At the same time, Ontara walked up just to move the minion wave in mid lane with his newfound Baron buff. He'll back away. He'll be just by his final item.
Plenty of ways to join in with the rest of the team, and it's going to be a Randuin's Omen for him, so just really making sure that Songyun can't get anywhere close or can't get away, whichever it is.
I mean, Shen is usually attempt to taunt and then kind of have to have the walk of shame moving back because doesn't really do anything else in the fight. But in this case, he's got Thorn Mail and he takes less damage from crit, so at least he won't die making that walk away.
Siege now beginning
Teleport
TP very deep in from the backside here. Hook comes in onto Blank. Has a Guardian Angel, but he takes a lot of damage now. Lindarong arriving here with the hero's entrance. Wolf being targeted out, goes low, but has the shields to keep him alive at least for the moment because Songyun hasn't been able to get into a spot to really fire off with this Cogmaw. Blank going low. That last R not going to connect in. I think he finds the taunt, but still might be going down. And Tara walks in front of him to block the Justice Punch, making sure he can't get away. They get rid of him, and that is so much of ROX Tigers' control in these team fights taken away. And they might just be losing that third inhib as well unless they can throw one hell of a Hail Mary. Mighty Bear goes forward, has a multi-man belly bop, but he'll get locked down. The root comes through from Wolf, and he'll find the killing blow. Faker still firing away the Twin Fangs, pops the shield, goes forward, looks for Songyun. Songyun does kill the Cassiopeia as he kites back, but still needs so much more to stop this game from going down. It just looks like they're not going to find it. The Nexus turret finally falls. Nexus targeted out. 47 minutes on the clock. Blank going in for the final kill to complete the ace. Songyun will die. Beautifully done by him at the end. SKT, longer than you might have anticipated, do win in game one, and Blank is now 16-0.
Yeah, they kind of toiled in that particular game. They found it difficult to close. Strong wave clear on the side of ROX Tigers, and SKT respecting how strong the 4-5 item Cogmaw could be in team fights. But when ROX Tigers actually had to make decisions in the heat of the moment around the inhibitor, choosing between peeling for the Cogmaw and potentially taking the inhibitor, got nothing, lost 2 inhibitors. And in general, in those team fights, you saw Bang just skirting on the edge of the taunt range so many times, killing whoever the frontliner is. No one super tanky against 6-item Cassiopeia and 6-item Ashe. Fighting front to back, SKT found those advantages. And ROX Tigers, it's an honorable loss, but again, another loss is the more operative term there. Goes as expected, but longer and more toiling, like I mentioned. SKT will want to tighten it up for game 2.
They do. We'll see if they are going to do just that. Something tells me that they will, because they'll also be playing over onto the blue side. So another red side win there for SK Telecom. And now they get to play on the easier side of the map. Maybe we see some swaps coming through. Perhaps. I don't think that we will. I think we'll still see Untara and Blank, but you never know with Peanut and Huni waiting in the back room. Maybe even Sky.
Is it better to hide Peanut and Huni, or better to have them come out and put in a big performance before their next big ask in the match? Because it'd be a big surprise if they started, if they don't play today.
If anyone can weigh those options, you'd have to put your faith in Coma. So we'll see what he cooks up for the roster, for the draft, as we get ready to go into a commercial break and have the players get prepped. ROX Tigers, nice performance, an honorable loss, as you put it, Papa Smithy, but they need so much more if they're going to climb the standings. Because right now, that 7th place spot, not looking terrible, but not looking good either. Rough stuff from them. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going to that commercial break. We'll see you for game 2 in just a few.
Deadly Take me under your wing, crack of thunder, as a wild bird sing. Sonic echo, there leaves no room for doubt. All the shots, bring it back to what it's now. As the world comes to earth in our hands, are we all part of a bigger plan? All the shots, bring it back to what it's now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Bang! Did a lot of damage, to say the least. Over 1,000 DPM. And, yeah, SK Telecom, they won game one. But it wasn't easy. ROX Tigers had a very nice start to the match. But like you said before the break, hit that wall where it's like, well, what do we do now? Nobody figured it out, and they lost.
It felt like they had the wall before they actually had the damage behind the wall, and then by the time they had the damage, a couple of botched engages, Bang kiting himself to victory in the backside was a treat to watch. So much DPM from him, but our MVP will be Faker, interestingly, on the Cassiopeia. It was largely a farming game for Faker, had some really nice turning moments in team fights though, and had a endless tussle with his main enemy, which was the Elder Dragon.
Yep, and Mickey, a nice setup into the hook. But overall, just couldn't find it for the victory here. Faker just pushing forward fearlessly. I mean, the nice pick onto Songyun, honestly, that I'm sure we'll be seeing later on in this montage, was a very crucial one for their success.
Faker bounce back in, just to have a bit more damage to take down Songyun with the aid of Untara. It was a battle Shen in the early parts of the game, but then we just got to the points where one person who 10 minutes ago would have been unkillable is now walking up to Cassiopeia and a 6-item Ash, no longer unkillable. Songyun's front line not strong enough on a couple of occasions. Faker went down or got very low, but it was in trade for the life of Songyun. He was the VIP, but the VIP was left all alone. Where was his bodyguard, Achilles?
Also getting killed. You know, just the way that it goes. Faker, third MVP win for him. Surprisingly low amount. The spread of MVPs has been all over the place this split. You know, every role earning MVPs for themselves. We've seen Wolf up there on the stage for the interviews, but for now, it will not be Mickey. Had some nice taunts there on the Galio, but overall, ROX Tigers just faltering, not having the shot calling to close out the game over SKT.
Another team in that faithful position of a pretty good early game, but as you say, not having the actual tight calls to be able to close it. As we load into game two. Often the game twos go to Sillyville pretty quickly in these sort of scenarios, and SKT have already had such a game against Ever 8 winners. This time they're on the blue side, so we'll have the flexibility to fish for a first pick and also ban away some of the champions the Tigers have enjoyed, as for once, Key will not be able to jump on the Thresh.
Banning that one away, and then the Syndra yet again will come through from the ROX Tigers. Just do not want that into the hands of Faker.
Zach banned on blue side, which they've done a couple of times with Blank, which always gives me pause, but seems like they're not interested in messing around with the Zach. single game, a victory for Blank this season on the Zac.
You would think that he would want to play it a bit more and try to convince him to leave it up through on the blue side. The opportunity to first pick it, but we have other things in mind. We know that Blank's Lee Sin is very formidable, undefeated on it this season, I do believe.
Increasingly possible as a first pick. Galio banned away, so Lee Sin and Elise. The jungle ball has largely been untested with the bans. ROX Tigers probably want to pick up at least one of those for themselves, although Mighty Bear is much more on the Elise side of the coin than the Lee Sin. May even go for something completely different if Elise is first picked, so might actually influence what they ban here. The Tigers. Caitlyn has been banned pretty frequently in this spot, and actually, okay, Tahm Kench is banned.
So maybe they were leaving something open.
So even though SKT haven't found huge success with the Caitlyn, that is the power pick, especially in week 4 of the LCK. Caitlyn has been so frequently banned, I believe banned in every game today.
Yeah.
Will be taken at the first pick. So they'll take their choice of the junglers here, ROX Tigers, which will be the Elise, one of the comforts for Mighty Bear, even when he was in Europe. No two power picks for Tigers because Caitlyn was denied. They were very much hoping for an Elise first pick, and then Caitlyn and a jungler choice on the side of the Tigers.
I mean, given its ban, you know, how much has been banned lately, what do we expect Songyun to be taking into the Caitlyn?
A couple of different schools of thought. Xayah is a very good choice, and was targeted, I believe, at some point in Game 1, so very much could be seeing it in this game. It was banned in the second round as ROX Tigers took a long time to pick their AD carry in Game 1. So I think Xayah, given what he's been playing, is a possibility, and Kog'Maw is what he's mousing over. Interesting to see them return to it. And okay, last second is switch over to Varus, so much more standard wave clear war here now with the Varus.
That'd be a very painful lane for the Kog'Maw to get through.
Hard to recreate the tanky front line when Galio and Zac are both banned.
Yeah. Well, Varus much safer. Just sit back. And SKT maybe just rushing their way towards this bot lane duo. The Lulu was banned away by the ROX Tigers there in Game 1. Second round of bans, and they'll just go ahead and take it. Outside chance that it's for Faker, but now that the Rise hovers there, I'll say never mind.
Been precious little Lulu players in the LCK this season after the nerfs and the prevalence of Doran Shield. We're still at full strength Doran Shield in patch 7.11. The Rise, an old favorite, standby for Faker, but it's been overlooked by everyone, so wasn't realistically expecting it to be drafted. Instead, the blind pick mid laner is the most popular one recently. That has been the Taliyah. Good win rate for Faker on that particular pick. ROX can just answer with Karma, both as a mid lane choice and a potential flex for Key, so that's a nice red side Karma available for ROX Tigers.
Really taking their time with these drafts, but ooh, they'll actually maybe play
Is
around
Mickey
with
gonna
this
do
Lucian. They're gonna lock it in, I believe. There we go. All right, Lucian for Mickey in the mid lane, as we expect. Outside chance that it's the top lane.
I don't know if Untara is going to be drafting the Kennen in this game, and that's been the only matchup that Lucian top has got any serious play. So Lucian versus Taliyah. Mickey actually going for a laning focus pick instead of just focusing on something like the Orianna that has been his staple so far this season. A series with no Orianna from Mickey used to be the norm, but has been very rare in the LCK Summer 2017 season. Now because SKT didn't take Lee Sin in the first round, it will be the ban on Blank's Lee Sin as he tries to close in on that 17-0 number. Looking for top lane and jungle are SKT in the next round of the draft.
Karma off the board. Saw that flash there from the ROX Tigers, so they get rid of that one. And the Gragas as well has been eliminated. And Key, a very big piloter of that Bard, will not be able to get his hands on it this time around.
Kha'Zix's the only champion else that Blank has played this season. Maybe he'll show us how to make the Rek'Sai work. Okay, that's going to be Key just locking in the Blitzcrank.
All right. 3
good hook targets already on the side of SKT, so while it's surprisingly early, they want to leave last pick to give Linderong a good laning matchup. They want to get Fiored by Untara or something like that. Could still be a blind pick Fiora, but less likely as Kha'Zix again, most likely jungle choice here.
Yeah, Makes sense.
What would cement the
lock
pick
this
comp?
in.
This is looking like a pick comp. Some form of CC is encouraged, and if you're blind picking a top laner, Renekton is almost never a bad time.
Might just see it come through. Shen would be good for protection alongside the Lulu, but want something with a bit more CC, a bit more reliable CC. This is with a point and click of the W. A lot better than that Shadow Dash, so they will go ahead and go for the Renekton.
So it is very much a siege comp for ROX Tigers with a Blitzcrank for engage, and we spoke about Fiora and jumping that in. The Kled is available and can get to a good spot against Renekton. Now can also be pressured to high hell in the early game, but Linderong is 2-0 on the Kled this season, and they're trying to have both a 4-1 and some pretty strong siege with the double AD on the side of the ROX Tigers, but they are very short of magic damage in this team. Only really the Elise being able to pump out any relevant magic damage. So while they're not on a timer, itemization for Antara especially is super clean. And there's multiple squishies, so a seismic shove onto basically all 5 members of the ROX Tigers probably represents instant death.
And pretty much the hook on anybody other than maybe the Renekton after some items come through also represents just the same. So high pressure situations for both of these squads, and a lot of confidence from Key to go ahead and bring out that blitz.
I mean, if ROX Tigers can get a similar lead that they got in Game 1, ward up the enemy jungle, cutting through the enemy jungle with double AD and a support Blitzcrank will cause SKT to have to move so defensively around turrets that you can definitely get a lot of standing gold making the fast moves. But SKT, they have Talia Renekton as their solo lanes, Caitlyn in the bot lane. While it's not necessarily going to be cut and dry 3 pushing lanes, they are very much on the path to that. Our SK Telecom T1, and that may mean the ROX Tigers, barring some heroics from Mighty Bear's Elise, might be in for Painville this time.
Oh, well, it turned into Painville by the end of Game 1. Let's see if they can start things off as well and then transition that into a win as we load in for Game 2. Seems like the ROX Tigers side of the audience has been populated now, not just the one person cheering for the squad. So, already a better start, and take a look at that.
300 games in the LCK for Bang. Started his career on Najin, then moved over to SKT T1S, and then, of course, most famously on the recombined SKT at the start of 2015. One of the true superstars of this league. Hit 1,000 kills, now has 300 games.
Good stuff. Bang on top of the world, and maybe looking for another world skin to go after his latest that he's just acquired for himself.
But maybe not for Caitlyn, because he loves that pink chrome.
That's true. Unless he makes them make a pink SKT.
Nice skin accessorization with the Dragon Tamer Lulu.
It's a good one. Though I prefer the Dragon Tamer bot lane with the Tristana, but sadly we're not at that point in the meta.
Nope, and Uzi's not allowed to play anymore, so no Uzi playing Tristana.
Feels bad.
One of the most associated with that particular pick. Heard Voidboy talking about his belief that Tristana mid can be a thing again, and that was a blast from the past for most Curse or Liquid fans.
I forgot that was a thing.
Was a Voidboy thing.
Yeah. Those interesting times.
He's trying to contest the Raptor start here.
Faker's here to back him up, get sure that Blank's fine, and well, go ahead and have that aggressive leash onto the red buff by Wolf and Bang.
SKT have reliably given super hard leashes, especially on the blue side. Even in Peanut's loss in their recent series, it's a beautiful leash. That was Galio helping with the Raptor start, but still, I'll have to give their jungle a bit of help early, and then Blank certainly has done the rest. The Blitzcrank has been kind of the big fork in the road here that SKT will have to contend with.
We've seen a lot of people try to bring this one out, and it has had mixed results.
I mean, sometimes we've seen it picked into like 3 tanks, and you wonder why, but in this game, could be a possibility. Level 2
He's got
pinged.
the level 2, oh, but all right. He'll just go ahead and miss the first hook. 100% miss rate.
You miss 100% of the hooks you don't send out, Achilles.
This is true. But we'll see if Key can just miss 100% of all of them.
You know, that's probably pretty unlikely. Mickey's taking a really bad trade here with Faker.
Yeah. Went for this for the counter, and Faker just showing him what for.
Going for the alpha back as well.
Just recalling in his face. Well, so far, lane's not going well in either of the solo spots here.
And they kind of need the Lucian to be the one doing work early, because we know how Renekton will do against Kled early. It's very one-way traffic. Can't even invade, but he might face check Mighty Bear.
Yeah, the Cocoon comes through. Mighty Bear still have quite a bit of damage. Trades back with the stun. Goes in onto him. Mighty Bear maybe in a bad spot. Doesn't want to dice over the wall. Now we'll be walking back in. Linderong hovering nearby, but instead Blank's going to jump forward. Knocks him off the scroll. Has the red buff to slow him up. Can't quite finish off the kill, but that's going to be both flashes gone. Now, keep pushing forward. The exhaust comes down in onto Songyun. Blank, kind of half HP, just firing away, trying to pull out this trade.
Ignite still available for Key, but exhaust used by Wolf in the top lane. Blank was really just escorting Renekton back into lane. So he was going to be forced to take the longest path out.
It started looking really good, just like that trade there. It's Key. Takes that double glitter lance. TP back in here for Linderong. Mighty Bear going to look for a sneaky gank, but there's a ward in that brush, so there goes that one.
I don't know, top lane brush wards has been much higher this season than in previous seasons.
Yeah.
A lot of teams will just park a control ward and as advanced a brush as possible to get early information about jungle pathing.
Look at the drag out, but can't get Antara into a spot where the Cocoon could come through to try to set up for that kill, so Mighty Bear just loses a little bit of time, but goes back with the recall. Gets that first purchase in.
Antara hasn't recalled yet. Linderong with double laning items. Doran's Blade and Doran's Shield. Haven't never hit the proverbial 7 Doran Shield game that I've been hoping for. And there will be a lower Doran Shield preference in next week's games when we move to 7-12. Every other region, including the LPL, already on 7-12, so feels like we're playing in the past this week. But the Telecom War on the first day of 7-12. Feels good, man.
But it's not at OGN, so it feels bad, man. But it's okay. We'll have the next one before the end of the season.
Happily, they're not in the same week this time, so spread them out, have a couple of patches change.
No more back-to-back.
Yeah. KT definitely had the change in an arrest in momentum after those two. Thankfully, as you say, not happening this season. Mickey's walking up very early, shadowed by Blank, though.
Yeah, has been spotted, so he will go ahead and peel back. Just gonna go ahead, jump over the wall.
Level 5, actually same level as Blank. Just pulls away.
Finally see that recall come through here for Antara. Does have the Tiamat completed.
First trade going the way of Faker has kind of put a dampener on this lane for Mickey. First buy is a Cull to join the Doran Shield. Does mean that he's going to be a little bit less strong at clearing those waves early. First roam opportunity there for Faker, but will not be investing the Weaver's Wall just yet.
He's still cutting his way up here. They will toss out the wall. Linderong going to be cut off. Still no flash available, and they'll just go in. They finish him off. Kill going over to Faker. First blood, SKT.
Yeah, Mighty Bear was too far behind. He was trying to stay out of vision, but two already walking up and sighting a Faker leaving lane. Need to be a bit more assertive if he was going to be realistic about contesting. And because Linderong already teleported, that's going to be first brick over to SKT.
Yeah, we'll be able to finish it off even with the limited minions there. 3 members whittle away at it, so first brick to SK Telecom, fast-tracking this game very much compared to game number 1. And we'll go ahead and stretch out to a 1.5 thousand gold lead at just before 7 minutes.
And the information flow needs to be better there. SKT was super priced into going for that turret dive because they knew Linderong didn't have teleport, which means that Mighty Bear has to show, has to dissuade, because now they pay the ultimate price of losing both and a massive amount of gold. Invested into SKT already 7 minutes into the game. So rarely do we see turrets fall that early.
Yeah, very bizarre.
Double control ward, Talia can leave first, and also just Renekton's pushing power. Means a lot of headaches for ROX Tigers on the top side.
Oh, Blank just leaps his way into the Cocoon, but Faker's here to back him up. Mighty Bear is able to skitter his way out to safety. Blank coming around the side, finds that control ward, takes a lot of damage from Mickey. Hits him with the rotation. Works him down to about half. Finishes this one off, but Mickey doesn't want to go too much further forward. We'll just go ahead and throw down that ward and keep himself safe.
SKT want to transition their ward line to the bot side because Infernal Drake means that playing around bot side is damn comfortable if you can make it happen.
Yep. And we saw, Mighty Bear, a couple steals come through there in game 1. If he can replicate that in game 2, get that Infernal Drake away from SKT, it'd be a pretty significant win.
They need to be a true steal at this point, given that ROX Tigers have been able to wave clear just fine and have the Blitzcrank to leave lane. Red buff spawns and Tara's on it. We'll be able to steal it away. No control for ROX Tigers in the top lane, mirroring that of Everrate's struggles in the top lane of game 2 of Series 1.
Second, I thought maybe Blank would take that away for a reset, but does give it over to Untara. Just to help make Linderong's life in that top lane even more of a living hell.
Oh, and people are going to be triggered. Look at this item build. Achilles got that sick QSS rush.
Oh boy, all right.
So you might ask why. Why QSS here? It's because you're winning so hard in top lane with so much control, and mid lane is going to be, the Talia is going to be just fine, that the only way SKT cannot just have one-way pressure is if Elise controls bot side of the map and they just gank her relentlessly. Idea here is that you can just have a bit of AD on the Caitlyn, wave clear from range, your auto attack and the Piltover of a Peacemaker, and you have QSS to stop yourself dying and actually having a turret go the way of the ROX Tigers. So while it looks comical, it's smart given the context of the game, because all Caitlyn needs to do is not die on wave clear.
See, suffering a bit there as far as the CS is concerned, but otherwise holding up rather well and just makes it that much safer. Meantime, Faker still very much winning out on these exchanges, but Mickey at least has a Vamp Scepter to try to keep himself topped up. He just keeps wanting to cheat forward, try to go for that hook, but just doesn't have that much of a window.
Bang's just happy to get the Warlord's procs, wave clear, wave clear, wave clear. What Songyun and Key can do with the information, the moment you see QSS, you know that, hey, that's just invade bot side. The combat stats are not there for the Caitlyn. Just a glorified wave clear bot, does nothing else. So controlling the red side, controlling the Infernal Drake is really what ROX Tigers are being offered on a silver platter this game. Easier said than done. It's still Faker being able to roam from the mid lane with the Globalist.
Oh, hello.
Mighty Bear.
Blank comes over the wall looking for Mighty Bear. Weaver's wall being rode in. Faker will arrive, and Mighty Bear should go down. Glitterland slows him up. They try to hand it over to Faker, but just have to be a bit more cautious, make sure he doesn't make it out somehow. So Blank takes the kill. 2 on the board now, and bang. Trading up here onto Songyun. That's going to be the chain of corruption coming through. Locks him up. Faker going low. Will live with a slither of HP.
Next, just bring in the reinforcements, take down 2 members of the ROX Tigers in the only area where they're strong, and no, they're not really strong anywhere, Achilles.
Nope. Not even headstrong. Keep pushing forward, just trying to harass the Caitlyn. Gets the hook in, but that's not turret range. So.
And Bang just returns to auto attacking.
Doop, doop, doop. Just a couple in the back of the robot. Not going to be hurting him too much yet, but with that kill coming through onto Songyun and now an Infernal Drake, the damage is going to be pouring forth for SK Telecom, and Blank in particular should have a very nice next back.
Tara picks up a minion wave in the top lane. Troll wards move to the bot side. There goes the hook missing.
I think he's landed 1 so far.
1 on screen.
1 on screen. And it was point blank.
What to say, Achilles? This is eerily reminiscent of some of the other games we have seen recently.
I would say don't draft Blitzcrank.
The team that he was against, it's actually a pretty good Blitzcrank game, all things considered. But I kind of take your point in that the best case scenario, obviously, is winning. But given how much you sacrifice in the 2v2, and the 2v2, you're going to put the nameplates on about, wait, the 2v2 is Bang and Wolf, then perhaps there are better options. Bang continues to be only invested in pushing lanes, going Berserker 3 second. Also more movement speed to sidestep the hooks.
No more power yet. Just wants to stay safe, as you say. In the meantime, Blank and Untara, who just have the entire run of this top side of the map, will be starting up that Rift Herald.
Lane
Spot the ward, but Mighty Bear is operating on that lower half of the river, so something tells me that they're quite all right.
Yeah, lane ward from both sides in the mid lane. Means they do know that Mighty Bear is coming for the contest. SKT just want to power it down.
Should be able to do so. Linderung, though, could pinch in. It goes low. Will be finished off in time, but can they get the buff? And Tara pushing forward to stop Mighty Bear. Gets the stun off. Baker pushing forward, and Mighty Bear almost goes down. I think he's got just a second left on that Weaver's Wall, really, before it's available, so couldn't ride it in for the kill.
Surprising amount of respect.
Yeah, just came up now.
Surprising amount of respect, though, Achilles, for Antara to pull back when he had Flash up, Dominus up, everything up, and they knew Mighty Bear's Flash was down. So that's the sort top laner SKT usually breeds. Why Huni is a counterpoint to any top laner, not Marin. On the side of SKT's Antara.
Oh, Mighty Bear solo, lands a cocoon, and Blank's out of mana. Be letting him walk away with his life, but that was yet again another close one for Mighty Bear.
That was also blank. I said Antara. Whoops. Faker here to join, though.
They're one and the same
Speaking
at this
of
point.
Antara.
Linderung going to be jumped on. Blank will go down as Mickey arrives, throws the culling down, but it's straight into the face of a very angry Crocodile. And he is yet again on the hunt. Flashes over the wall. Faker following in. He's low on mana. Mighty Bear arriving. Cocoon not going to connect, and Mickey makes it over the slice and dice. Takes Antara through, but can he get the hit? One more will do it. There we go. Takes him down. Overall, the 2-for-1.
Unsure if the turnaround for auto attack twice was worth it.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Maybe he would have just inevitably been chased down, given that. But they both had boots too, so hard one to work out there. Regardless, Mickey goes down as well.
Yeah, it seemed like that was a poor idea, but you never know. Could have very well died all the same.
I mean, he was clearly just putting in auto attacks, not for the red buff slow, but to actually get the Relentless Pursue up again, but wasn't able to get out there. Antara with red buff just rocks up in the mid lane. He's going to take that turret as well. SKT ran the top side. Now they super run both the top side and the mid lane as well. Huge vision advantage. They've been able to move the vision, and the difference between SKT and a lot of teams this week is they were fighting around the top side, but 2 control wards there. Nothing ROX Tigers could do there. They saw the Inferno Drake spawn. Suddenly they moved to those 2 control wards to the bot side, took advantages there. They move with their vision line. They create vision where they want to attack the ROX Tigers. And that's just wherever they want. And they've got even globals, too, to throw in.
Well, it's going to be the top lane where they want to attack this time. Seismic Shove, not going to connect.
Of course, during the charge,
over to the charge,
he is able to be untargetable. And Antara didn't have flash to flash into it.
So, but they still get the flash down. Take that one away just for the Weaver's Wall investment.
And speaking of investment, you know, obviously we dwelled on the QSS first from Caitlyn. Zonia is the first buy from Faker. Very, very defensive as well.
Wow, I'm shocked.
But the playstyle hasn't necessarily need to reflect the safety. And sure, most of the 3,000 gold is in defensive itemization. And most of the gold he's spending on the Zonias is for the stasis. Mighty Bear thinks he's
gets the
faced by
cocoon,
one.
but yeah, he goes low. Blank does not quite have that flash.
Almost curved the bullet around the Blitzcrank there.
What's that movie, Wanted, or the comic, graphic novel?
The Angelina Jolie movie? Pretty sure she was in the movie.
Maybe she was. I know Morgan Freeman was.
Yes. I always forget the name of that movie, but curved bullets. I think it wasn't the other movie Salt? Oh, that's also
Yes,
a movie
she
that was
was.
similar.
Yeah, she was like a secret agent or something in that one.
I get those two confused.
I think you're right. I think she was Wanted. I haven't seen it since it came out, and it wasn't very good, so I didn't really remember it.
Well, SKT, command the Rift Herald as you do your due diligences on IMDb.
Yep, she was in it.
There you go. Got a memory for the Angelina Jolie movies I didn't watch. I watched Tomb Raider and I stopped.
Her best movie was Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's the best movie I've ever seen.
I'm a video game fan, and I was the right age at the time. I was like, okay, I'll go watch this, and then I was like, okay, no, maybe
Yeah.
not.
I'm a young child, and I can identify that this movie is awful. Cocoon comes through. Wolf going to get locked down. He's just going to get burst out as Keith finishes them off with the hook, but Mighty Bear will fall as Faker arrives. The Seismic Shove takes him down. Blank leaping in, trying to finish off Songyun. Won't be able to get it, but they should be able to get that tier 2 turret. Faker rides in, looking for the kill, but might have bitten off more than he can chew. Has the Zonias. Try to buy some time, but it's really just a waiting game. He'll die in the end as Mickey just fires one final shot off, but inner turret goes down. SKT, what was it, 2 for 1 plus the turret? Or no, 1 for 2? Yeah, 1 for 2 plus the turret.
2 turrets, actually, as they put the Rift Herald down just at
You are correct.
the entrance to bot lane. So 2 turrets, the big factor that makes it worth. Linderung somehow found no entrance to the fight, so it probably wouldn't have been the most relevant with charge on cooldown. SKT have so much map control this game that An Ocean Drake, while not the biggest bounty, is still something else that's free to the side of SKT. Defensive itemization is starting to join the defensive itemization that was the rushes on the side of SKT.
It's an investment. It's another stack in case the game somehow gets delayed by ROX again.
Seeming unlikely.
Yes, it does. SKT are absolutely terrifying right now.
And then we get to see the opposite of Blitzcrank with map control. It's Blitzcrank with no map control, which usually means that they know where he's coming and makes it very unlikely that the hooks will register.
And I said absolutely terrifying. Something that I forgot that I did. I was watching you and Atlas cast yesterday, and on my second monitor. And then on my first monitor, I was going back. I've been trying to go through my Steam games. I started replaying through the Left 4 Dead series. I got to the second one, and I forgot that years ago I installed a mod that replaces your flashlight with Nicolas Cage's face. So I was running into a dark room, and I turned on my flashlight, and just Nicolas Cage popped up, and I actually physically jumped out of my chair for a moment.
One of my greatest phobias.
You know, it's just terrifying. This is way scarier than the zombies.
Well, that sort of dread is not being put out by ROX, even though some of the trades are going pretty decently for them.
Yeah, Mickey still has quite a bit of damage here. Fires off the culling. Can't quite find that kill in on the bang, though.
There's not much aplomb about SKT right now because the items aren't necessarily the explosive ones. Even when Faker rode in and started diving, he only had Azonias, which meant that wasn't able to delete Songyun instantly. Bang still short of one completed item himself. So while they're in a great spot, the gold lead is there, the map pressure's there, the tempo is all about SKT. We haven't seen the fireworks that we saw in Series 1.
We're looking to add a little bit more onto that lead as Antara's just going to flash in, look for Mickey. Couldn't quite find it, and the charge comes through from Linderong. That bear trap on a rope to try to pull him back in, but loses Scarl right off the bat. And the hook yet again, going to miss from Key. Accuracy not on his side at the moment, and SKT, we'll see how long they want to stick around and try to finish this one off. Songyun's rotating down and will have that line wave clear to offer up.
Bit damning that he actually chose to hook the Renekton and missed.
An Eruption coming through, and Tara going to get locked down. Wild Growth comes in, trying to keep him alive, even with the dominance, but that last turret shot will take him down as Mighty Bear claims the kill. Faker is alone on the side, flanking in, just firing away with the threaded volleys, trying to finish him off, flashes in to try to get the last hit. Now Linderong coming back into the fight on the backside with that teleport. Might be turning things around here for ROX. Their trap on a rope comes down, will pull Bang back in, but he loses Scarl yet again. Seismic shove just shy of it. And Key, well, he was a mile away.
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere near on the hook, like you mentioned. The health bar's not there for ROX Tigers, so only a one-man chase mission coming in for Linderong. Not the cleanest from SKT, but they get the objective they're setting up for. Pain of Corruption started this all. Talia in the backline, still not with massive damage, so while she's zoning and forcing members of ROX to back off, they take down Mickey. From there, very difficult to get much more. The flash doesn't really register anything from Faker, so a misfire there. Linderong cleans up Blank. Nothing else really comes from this fight. Again, we're waiting for the explosion of action, but this has been pretty methodical stuff from SKT. Much more playing about where they're strong rather than when they're strong. That means that now Infinity Edge finally complete. Faker's still working on a second damage item.
Yeah, Leandri's getting ready to come through as the Haunting guys so far. And Mickey in the same boat. Going to be looking for that black cleaver very soon. As Blank takes away that blue buff.
Blitzcrank, really only a melee champion who can ward at this point. Took exception to your hook counter earlier in the game, but now we are getting to the point where you don't hit a hook on one of the 4 great targets from SKT when their flashes are mostly down. Why Blitzcrank? Blitzcrank and Thresh very different when it comes to the hooks especially. Thresh quite hard to hit the hook on compared to Blitzcrank, who has a much faster charge time, or cast time, I should say, on the hook. See if Linderong can finally start bossing around the Renekton. The answer seems probably yes, and here's also the Lucian.
Charge will come through yet again. Bear trap comes down, and Mickey arrives. As that play, the Rune King ready to go, and Tara trying to trade up the calling, just going to be tickling him from behind. Will be able to get him in the end. Looked like just for a second that Antara would be able to escape. If only he had the flash. Could have seen the great one happen, but Mickey comes up for the kill. Good stuff here for the side of ROX Tigers as they just try to close in on this gold deficit. Just under 4,000 at the moment.
Trying to take their first turret of the game as well in the bot lane. They've been nowhere near to claiming turrets because of all the pressure. The tempo of the SKT pushes, but Kled in the bot lane. That was hard to say for some reason. Getting a lot of work done. Still going to take a bit of time, given it was at full HP before he started.
Has another wave coming in, though, so should be able to take this out, unless Faker really wants to ride the wall in to try to stop this, but seems like Linderong is going to let the minions do their work and kite back before he gets pinched in on.
SKT, if they want the Baron, still have to do a lot of work with the top side. A lot of their vision has been centered around the bot side, so for now, the game pace does slow. A lot of action happening early as SKT got so much standing gold off the map, being 5-0 in turrets, and still 5-0, as worth noting that Linderong couldn't actually complete the turret take in bot lane.
Yeah.
Just trading farm over to Antara. Still ultra comfort from SKT, but looking for that killer instinct of them actually pulling the trigger and growing this lead further. Faker's been kind of on solo missions when it comes to diving. The rest of his team's been a lot more conservative with their positioning.
Well, now he's got the damage ready to go at least with the Leandries being completed. Bang as well. Static shift plus that IE. So, crit out the wazoo for this guy. But still doesn't do much to Key. He's got that quest completed. So, overshield is there. Just did an eye out.
Doing some PvE, taking down the Cloud Drake. Was their ability to take Elder Dragon in the face of Baron in the previous game. That helped a lot.
Linderong's going to show up. Would be one hell of a steal if he could get it, but actually, Blank didn't have the smite, but still finds it. Execute damage on the Q.
Yeah, Linderong probably wondered what was going on when the Drake started falling to 400 HP.
Is he taunting me?
The answer was yes, but
A little bit.
only found that out right at the end.
Kind of inadvertently.
This ROX is so petrified because Key doesn't have the latitude to make picks, so he's roaming around in the topside jungle. SKT don't really need to go into the topside jungle as a less than a 4-man unit, so let's push through mid lane and back away.
Oh, Key. He's smelling it. Blood in the water. Finds the hook. Drags him back in. Wild Growth not going to be enough. And Blank goes down.
Yeah, even with all the traps, got trapped, but hit the hook finally. So crucial. They get a single pick. Probably won't lead to much, though, Achilles, with the minion waves pushing in, specifically in the bot lane.
All right, if ROX wins, Key gets MVP.
Well, I think Faker decided he want to go in.
Oh, rides in on the wall, and Faker will be able to go golden, but seems like he's still going to go down. Flashes to the side, but just basically to his inevitable death. Key and
Everyone
Mickey
flashes.
both coming over the wall, trying to hunt down on the Blank. Drops a couple traps to try to delay them. Ace in the hole out as well. Mickey will eat that one to the face. Another hook comes through, and suddenly Key's on fire. That one was a bit easier.
Yeah, Key was just trying to get into Hook City. Finally got the keys to that particular area and got 3 hooks in rapid succession. Big picks for the ROX Tigers. They'll finally get to push down mid lane, but Bang is still alive. So getting that first turret. Remember, still none of the turrets are claimed by Tigers. If they answer the turrets, they'll actually probably be ahead in gold, Achilles.
Yeah, they certainly would be. I mean, haven't been able to pick up a single one yet. Mickey's got that top lane moving, and we'll go ahead and take another look at this Faker. Just really aggressive on the Weaver as well, trying to cut off Songyun, who does go down.
Predicted where he was going to jump off, or maybe even had time through the animation. And from there, after the Zhonya's died, double flash from Mickey and Key. They wanted more in this particular scenario, and it's only because Antara took the cocoon. They finally got the hook in. They get the picks they need, but nothing much more for ROX Tigers. So a bit of gold, some experience from taking down the SKT members. The gold lead still around 3,000.
They're buying time. In a game where SKT were up to such a massive lead from the start of the game.
I mean, SKT got a lot of the easy objectives very fast into this game and much ahead of schedule. And then their items weren't really in a point to take the harder objectives, so they were kind of stalled from making any more movements. The items are starting to get there now. They group with Renekton. They might be able to ward, but when Renekton's not grouped, getting the vision into the area they want is basically impossible, because unless Blitzcrank is showing in the mid lane, how are you ever pushing vision into the red side without getting picked, like we saw happen in a chain of occurrences in the previous clip?
Well, now 2.6 thousand gold. All that is separating them here, so SKT are getting stopped out. And what looked like it would be a rather swift game, too, could very well be going yet again, around 40 minutes. If ROX can maintain this, if Key can keep hitting these hooks. on crucial members.
It really does feel like they need to group with the Renekton, but they're going to try the Weaver's Wall again.
Almost had it that time. They toss it out just a little bit off from hooking Faker in yet again.
As a 4-man group, it feels like Baron should be impossible. So Untara teleporting over or just recalling and running to his team to help them put down Vision is probably the percentage way for them to actually take objectives in this topside area. But now the control wars just cannot be attacked because of the strength of Blitzcrank and Varus on the red side when you're trying to contest Vision in that area. So the end result is that farm is being passed over to Mickey. He's actually 43 CS ahead of Faker, who's been doing his best solo playmaking experiments in the past couple of minutes. CS values in general pretty healthy, except for Linderung's 40 CS down of his opponent here on the Renekton.
Nope. Not this time, Key, but good try. Vision will just get cleared out. SKT try to gain some control over this Baron. Still very far away from being able to start this one up. They need some crucial picks. The likes of Mighty Baron, perhaps even Linderung going down before they can really think about that going over to them. In the meantime, they still do have a nice little contingency plan with the Dragon stacks. 3 over to them and another Infernal Drake on the way. So if they can net that for themselves in about a minute's time when it does spawn, Elder Dragon is going to be looking pretty juicy.
Catch build coming through from Faker with the Rylai's. Most mid laners who play the Taliyah have skipped over this item after the stat efficiency went down, but just trying to acquire targets. If you look at the team comp, there's not massive CC outside of the stun coming through from the Renekton and Lulu's slows, so Taliyah putting it on herself to do a lot of the utility. Renekton showing in bot lane, but still, Key and Mighty Bear being able to contest Vision means that Baron's still not started, even with Leandri's and a 3-item Caitlyn. Interesting that the game has been stalled as long as it has, but SKT seems so reticent to draw Renekton to the top lane that all they can really do is park a control ward, clear Vision, but nothing much more, as Key might be caught finally.
He does have that flash ready to go. Will pop it. And Blank not really in a position. There's too much CC over that wall for him to pursue in.
But important to see Blitzcrank chunked out, because now they can push Vision. They have a control ward pushed up pretty far. SKT, maybe this is finally the Baron time. They've been thwarted for so long.
Oh, looking for Mighty Bear. Cocoon comes in. Mighty Bear will flash away to keep himself alive. So 2 flashes now down on the side of ROX. And that's going to be the HarCC members outside of the Chain of Corruption.
And it's Baron time, Achilles.
All right, they're going to go ahead and start this one up. Scrying Orb. It's knocked to the side. Bang on the wrong side of the pits. Got to be careful. The hook does not land. A little juke out there by Bang, and they might just want to turn in for a fight here. Key going to be the focus. And the TP now coming through for Tara.
Teleport's deep, but not that deep. Only Mickey on that side. I tell a lie, Linderung's there as well.
Tara, though, will be jumped on. Ace in the hole comes through. Mickey going to take that damage, and Tara gets a double slice and dice through.
Static Shift crit actually doing quite a lot of damage. Another recall coming through. Will SKT just pull back? They have vision of Mighty Bear and Key.
Oh, Mighty Bear goes low. 90 caliber net not quite hitting. If it had, that would have been the headshot.
But it is Mighty Bear. It is the Smite who is now going to die if he tries to contest.
Well, that's the hook in onto Bang. So much damage out here from Mickey. The Wild growth over the wall, and he actually trades one back, flashes into the pit, keeps himself alive, and now the Baron goes over to SK Telecom. Linderung comes in, and it's a double kill over to Songyun so far, dismantling the bottom lane of SKT. Faker going low, still pushing them back. Mickey comes forward. Faker jumps to the side, has the Zonias there. Can they stick around for the kill? The answer is going to be no. Mickey sees that he's ticking down from that Leandri's, will back off. 2 members dead. And SK Telecom do claim the Baron.
A lot of action there. Bang being so far up. Baited the Blitzcrank to go in. He hit the hook though. Bang just about gets out, then gets taken out in the pit. But the Baron is claimed from SKT. Remember, they struggled to pick this up for a good 10 minutes. Finally got it. Speaking of finally getting it, the Keys hooks have lighted up the rift in the tail end of this particular game. Bang falls low, flashes in. No shields left though. He does die in the pit to Linderung as he comes in. Songyun runs out of mana. Needs to be able to weave in spells to get max damage, so doesn't get a lot. And in all that commotion, Infernal Drake is taken, so 4 Drake stacks to SKT as well.
Yeah, and now just going to be having that amplified AD AP. So they look pretty terrifying here. Even Faker, who doesn't have the most aggressive of items, is still going to be pretty formidable.
You do feel like KT, no doubt watching this game, will wonder what to make of SKT in this particular match, as Blank's going to get hooked.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Gets locked down. Cocoon comes straight away. Wild Growth's in. He flat jumps to the side, but will still be taken down as Songyun finds another kill. Faker chasing in with a threaded volley, just trying to chip him away. Has the side swing shove in onto Key, but has to hightail it away because of that calling. The hole connects onto the Blitzcrank, but still just working away at his HP bar, not finding any kills. And that's going to be another Baron buff lost by SK Telecom. Now just 2 remaining.
Wolf also now clearing waves. They don't have vision of the Blitzcrank.
Oh, here he comes. Hook not going to connect. Wolf using that whimsy, gets himself a little bit more movement speed and can cut into the side. Top. Inner turret does go down as Zentara gets that for himself and his squad. Linderong trying to outduel this Renekton, but it's actually losing this time around. Will lose Skarl, but Mickey is on the way. That's why he wants to commit in, and Nuntara in a bad spot. Identifies this, just wants to try to trade up. Finds it! Swipes his way through with the final Q and does get the kill in the 1v2.
He swipes right on getting the kill there, does he? Picks it up and gets the 1v1, even though they drew an extra member. Trying to push minion wave in mid lane and finally break the base, but Mighty Bear's here.
That's 1 remaining Baron buff. It's only on Faker now. He over the wall. No minions to body block Faker. They have to kite back. Next wave very far away, so SKT not going to gain much ground on this.
The Baron's buffs off the rift, with also the respawn timer needing to be respected. SKT are still thwarted. With picking up the Baron they invested so much hard work into, the majority of 10 to 15 minutes into, doesn't allow them to break the base. ROX Tigers holds true. Still going to be armor being very, very valuable against this team. Probably why Faker did rush the Zonias was only Mighty Bear is going to be doing magic damage on the side of ROX.
Just a look at Ntara's inventory. When we flash that one back up on the screen, 3.4 thousand gold. Ahead of Linderong.
And most of that put into armor items.
Randuin's has the Dead Man's Plate and another chain vest waiting in the inventory, so could just see a Thorn Mail.
Thorn Mail or a Gargoyle Stone Plate to be even more annoying in the back line. Not that he's going to die to Mighty Bear very quickly. New Guardian Angel icon onto the side of Blank. Wants to be a frontliner to join the Renekton. But again, like, I don't know what KT makes of this particular series, because SKT relatively to Samsung yesterday and KT today have toiled trying to beat the ROX Tigers, who may be the strongest of the bottom 4 teams, but...
Yeah, I mean, KT did struggle against Ever8 in Game 1.
True.
I'd say the takeaway, they're probably pretty even, at least against lower opposition. When it comes down to each other, who knows? Weaver's Wall thrown out, Songyun forced the flash over, Ace in the Hole will come through, just chunks him down a bit more. Doesn't get the heal out of him or anything, so still has at least the 1 summoner spell. Tara hunting in for Linderong, just swipes him, interrupts his back.
Recall comes through. Next Weaver's Wall, if it does cut off Songyun, will be massively effective. But SKT just continue the full court press they've been engineering for the majority of this game. When you have your waves push up this much, basically every bush that Blitzcrank would dive into will be warded, or there'll be so few to actually problem solve around.
Look out. Faker has the Zonias, keeps himself safe. Yet again. Cooldown burned. Now sieging up here, chunks out Songyun yet again. Chain of Corruption comes through. He will cleanse that one off with the QSS. Still playing with fires. He goes forward. The flash to the side, and Key, ooh, just a frame away from hitting that hook.
Ntara turned onto him bot lane.
Pixels away, rather. Ntara, yeah, does get jumped on. Goes dangerously low. The calling comes out. Wild Growth thrown down, and he still will fall over the wall. Mickey finds the kill. Nicely done. Bang. Chunking out Mighty Bear. Does get hit by the Cocoon, but otherwise won't find anything in Key. Just hooking in a minion.
To fight so hard, just get 2, 3 shots from Bang onto this turret. They don't want to play the top lane, and the bot lane is fighting a losing war over time with Linderong. So SKT continue to be thwarted. So many camps, access to so much gold. And inevitably, this gold ticker will start to tick up for the side of SKT. But still no closer to breaking the base. And once the base is broken, the game should be pretty academic from there. But there still has been surprising spots for Key to cause pressure with the Blitzcrank. It's been one of those games where Blitzcrank, sure, didn't start well, but hit some hooks, and now just the inherent pressure of the next hook is slowing down the advance of SKT.
But now it's also one of those games where in 40 seconds time, we have Elder Dragon for 4 stacks for SK Telecom spawning alongside Baron, which just makes for some great pressure situations around the map as far as what each team wants to prioritize. Because, I mean, given this context, you'd have to think that ROX trading the Elder Dragon for Baron doesn't feel good.
And even getting a trade should be impossible because with how much and how pushed the lanes have been, there hasn't been enough time for ROX to get balanced vision on both sides of the map. So SKT aren't interested in trading. They want to get a free objective, then pick up the second one and finally break the base. Speaking of second objectives, Tigers do get their second turret of the game to continue the gold lead being around that 4,000 mark. It's actually only 3.5.
Yippee. Weaver's Wall comes through. Separates the team a bit. See how much follow-up there's going to be. Blank leaping forward, looking for Mighty Bear, just absolutely destroys him with the help of Bang, the charge used by Linderong as well to hightail it out of there. And the rest of SKT going hunting for the members of ROX Tigers. Won't be able to find them, but do they just go ahead and start the Baron right now? They have 40-plus seconds on Mighty Bear.
Yeah, the first instinct was to turn to look for more picks, but with how long the death timers are, this might be the right idea. Killers, they have one advanced ward around the Raptors. Once again, Bang starting things up. They don't have any vision. ROX give up the Baron, trying to make a play for the Elder Dragon, but like you mentioned, it's a very low-value Elder Dragon.
If they can even get it, they're going to start this one up. Do not have a smite.
There's a ward in there from SKT.
Coming up here in 15 seconds, and SKT are pinching in. ROX see them in the mid lane, and they are going to go ahead and try to peel back. Do they want to try to cut them off is the question. Faker does not have a Weaver's Wall. Ward comes over. They spot out Mickey. They see the rest of the team leaving. And the Elder Dragon has started up, and this is the most feel-bad moment here for ROX Tigers. Cannot contest either objective, will lose out both. 4-stack Elder Dragon plus Baron to SK Telecom as we near 40 minutes, and you have to expect that the game should go down from here unless ROX can put on one hell of a show.
Yeah, 24% bonus AD on a 5-item, soon-to-be 6-item Caitlyn. 4 stacks as well for the burn. Bang just wants to walk up and finally break down this inhibitor turret that's lasted 40 minutes, but it's not going to last probably more than 40 seconds from now. It's almost 4 seconds, yeah.
There you go. Just keep cutting down. Mickey goes
That was 2 autos from the Caitlyn.
How the times have changed. I remember when he did no damage, says Mickey, as he runs back to the fountain, desperately trying to stay alive. Doesn't force out the heal at least. But still, SKT going to look to go ahead and close this one out. They have so much pressure. Do they want to stick around? Seems like the idea is just going to be going for the sweep on all 3 inhibs, perhaps. Faker is rotating his way up there. The rest of the squad posturing forward, keeping these minions empowered.
Don't have any minions to tank, though, so Bang can't really get any auto attacks on the Nexus turrets. Finally, a minion wave starts to crash.
Top lane as well, and Songyun, oh dear lord. Does take quite a bit of damage. You hear that charge coming through as Linderong comes in from the backside. Did pop the TP. Onjara's going to be the recipient of that cocoon and the chain of corruption, but Blank is already deleted key. Calling being fired off here by Mickey, desperately trying to find a kill. Will not be able to do so as Faker takes out Songyun. Linderong way too far forward. Will go down in the end, and that's going to be the game going over to SK Telecom. Very delayed, very much. A tough one for these guys to close it out, but they do it methodically. They don't overstep their boundaries. They come up with the win, and that's another 2-0 for SKT.
And while we wonder how it took quite so long, it was respect from SKT that caused the game to extend, because the moment Blitzcrank fell behind, the double AD sieging team fell behind, there wasn't really win conditions for ROX Tigers to get the game back into their grasp. Now, they weren't necessarily going to give it over either. SKT did have to toil. It was long. They didn't necessarily have explosive moments, but finally, Blank is 17-0, 1 game short of the 18-0 regular season LCS previous year number of game wins in a row. So getting to pretty insane numbers. May make 20 before the end of this season, that's for sure. May make 19 before the end of the first round robin. But guess what? They have to play SKT against KT next time, which will be interesting to track. ROX Tigers continue to earn their moniker of the best team with just a single match win, but it's not necessarily a crown you're looking through. It's a crown of thorns for the ROX Tigers, who still have not been able to pick up that second match win.
Yeah. Has been eluding them, but, you know, you wouldn't have put your money on ROX Tigers beating SK Telecom. You would have gotten one hell of a payout if you had actually won that bet. But still, struggle street for these guys. They do rest around that 7th place spot. Will not be moving further down from here. But it's still rough tidings for these guys.
Mickey looked rusty, going lane-focused rather than his recent games of just being mostly an Orianna bot. Has been building for his team, setting up for his team. But game 1 was kind of symbolic of what the ROX Tigers have been running. Unable to make it work with the late game Cogmore comp. Went more lane-focused in game 2, but like I said, didn't necessarily look like it was the most practiced strategy. No elation on the side of SKT. It is business as usual for them. Whew. Bang was doing no damage for a long time, but...
And then he did all the damage for the rest of the time.
He was definitely the one anointed to do so. Faker went for a pretty low damage build, and Kha'Zix wasn't going to be getting resets in these particular fights.
He's going all in on this anointed Crown of Thorns.
It's true.
Yeah.
I only said Crown of Thorns once
Baptism
today.
by fire for ROX Tigers.
That's true.
Maybe now they can get a win.
Maybe. I mean, they do have those 2 games that are very winnable, right? The run-in for the ROX Tigers is that they face, in 2 days' time, MVP, and then they do face in the final game of the first round robin, KT Rolster. So both of those winnable for the side, well, at least the first one winnable for the side of ROX. MVP will be Bang. Shoulder the damage like we mentioned. Slow start from QSS after a pickaxe was something that turned the head, but after that, able to finally get him to his item timings. The team fight happened, and ROX Tigers delayed, but nothing really else they could do.
Yeah. So Bang and Faker MVPs here for SK Telecom today. Very beautifully done by him. And like you said, it was methodical by SKT, but they approached this game with a lot of respect, and that was reflected in Bang's item purchases, going for that QSS alongside the pickaxe very early on, delaying his own damage, but still coming out very much on top.
Yeah,
so.
A QSS, when they had so much pressure in the rest of the map after the early turret takes, that taking down Bang was one of the few ways that ROX Tigers could get back into the game. So he stopped that from being a win condition. SKT took all the easy objectives and then, yes, did struggle for 20 minutes or so to get the more difficult ones, but the first Baron held at the start of the end of the game for the ROX Tigers. Nice hooks from Key to at least get over after missing so many at the start of the game.
It kind of leveled out, you would say. Started off really rough for him, but by that mid-game, he was really the driving force behind ROX getting back onto the horse. And maybe even having a chance of closing out the game with those crucial picks that he was finding, but in the end, couldn't find them. And Bang just hit a critical mass.
And it was 5-item double Infernal with Elder Dragon buff, 4-stack Caitlyn. So we know already that is insane amounts of damage. Down a couple of members that dived onto the Caitlyn while Kha'Zix and Renekton dealt with the worst. SK Telecom T1 go into the Telecom war 7-1, want to make an 8-1 first round robin and anoint themselves top of the table after their loss. They lost a long time ago against Samsung on the 2nd day of the season.
Yep, that they did. Well, let's go ahead, throw it over to Joel for a translation for our final interview of the night with Faker and Bang. Joel, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation. We're here at SK Telecom picking up a 2-0 victory against ROX Tigers. And we are here with today's MVPs, Faker and Bang, for the interview. Faker, you have now a 7-series win streak. About how do you feel right now? You know, I feel like it's the battle of the big 3 right now in the LCK, and I think getting a win today, once again, it just gets us more stronger in our confidence. And you had your 300th game today, and you got the win with it. How do you feel? Yeah, I feel like I played for a long time, that's for sure. I'm sure, you know, we say 300 games, you probably have a lot of flashback moments with all the games that you played. I think if you guys remember what the IPL was, that kind of moment did have a little bit of flashback on that. We were actually in the CJ team house doing the tournament. That's kind of what I remembered. Well, we want to return back to the game. The first game, you guys gave up the Galio. And it felt like you guys had a strategy behind that, giving up the Galio because it's a strong pick in the current meta. You know, we felt like, you know, Cassiopeia was something we could take into the Galio with a lot of tank state they had. And for shutting down tanks, I thought it was a good choice to go with. And Faker, you were the true Dragon Slayer today. You know, it just seems like every time you're around that situation, yeah, I feel like if I was faster on the fingers, I could have gotten the steal, but I was really going hard on that. Seems like the interview right now we want to continue on with, and we have to mark Bang. Even if he didn't get the interview for the first game, he got over 50,000 damage, and we thought that he would have gotten the MVP for that kind of performance, but I felt like, you know, regardless of the damage, I feel like my finesse in the plays that I made could have been better. And I felt like maybe that's why the guys didn't pick me. We'll have to see what Bang is talking about in this video highlight here. This is a fabulous play, says Bang himself. Faker, did you know that you were gonna go for the kill here? Yeah, the CC came through, so I knew I could go forward and get the kill. And this was a decisive moment because catching out the Kog'Maw would have been the crucial play here. Were you guys not, you know, exhausted by all this protected play around Kog'Maw? No, I felt like with Kog'Maw, you know, once it gets strong, it does get very hard to deal with, but at the same time, once we, you know, cut it off at the crucial time, there's nothing else the rest of the team can do. So that's kind of what we decided on, because, you know, when the team went too much forward and we had an opportunity to cut each of them off, that's kind of what we went for. We felt like we never were startled at any point of the game. And second game wasn't an easy game for you guys as well. And it seemed like the grab was really against you guys' favors most of the time. Yeah, the only time that it startled me was around the Baron pit. I felt like, you know, I thought that I had the Quicksilver Sash available, but it seemed like I used it right before, so it was still on cooldown, so I didn't have it available once I got grabbed. We do have a video highlight where this situation where he thought that he had the QSS. So I clicked the button, but it didn't go off. So then I realized my Quicksilver Sash was still on cooldown. And Faker, did you not get grabbed once throughout the game? You know, I even tried to get grabbed on purpose, but even that, they didn't get me with it. So, you know, the grab didn't work out to their favor. I gave them all the opportunities that I could. And with game 2, you guys really had everything, but with the composition that the opposition had, they really came through and tried to make a comeback for themselves. Yeah, with the scaling, the main DPS champions of the opposition, they had a pretty a good item set to go with, so it was a dangerous situation for us if you weren't careful. And of course, with, you know, them having Blitzcrank, it can create a lot of different situations, so we had to be careful at all times. And your use of the Talia ult was really interesting, where, you know, you guys cut off the opposition at crucial times. Yeah, I usually just make my own decisions on how to use the ult of the Talia, and I really, it had nothing to do with my teammates calling the shots. And I'm just smiling over here because the conversation itself is so funny. I'm sure, you know, even with Faker's ultimates, it was all due to Bang that got the win at the end with all the Caitlyn. Yeah, I think it just, you know, not taking all the credit for myself, I have to give credits to Lulu. You know, Caitlyn Lulu comp is a really good combo to go with, and it just creates the Caitlyn that much stronger. And the fact that, you know, you had the Kazakhs to work with, and there was a lot of time for me to grow as well and get stronger with the Caitlyn.
MVP 선정되지 않은 다른 팀원들까지도 이렇게 또 챙겨주는 거 좋습니다. 그래서 또 궁금한 게 지금 운타라 블랭크의 연승, 막 전승.
We want to also mention that Untara and Blank is on a roll with the actual results going their ways with getting consecutive wins. How do you guys see them going forward? Faker, what do you think?
네, 그런 거 같아요.
Yep, I agree with you guys.
네, 그런 거 같죠. 계속 연승을 하고 있으니까.
운타라가 워낙 좀 게임을 할 때 잘 버티는 편이라서.
And with Untara, when he plays, he likes to always hold on, be patient with the situations, no matter what happens.
팀이 편안해지는 거.
So it seems to make the team more comfortable for us.
운타라 선수 무슨 일이 일어나도 좀 묵묵하게 과묵하게 게임을 한다. 오늘도 역시 그랬나요?
Was he like that today?
오늘 진짜 루시안이 계속 와서 죽었는데. 나 죽었어. 그냥.
You know, there was a situation where the Lucian kept dying, but you know, he was just constantly telling us, Lucian died, we're all right, we're gonna be all right.
죽어도 되는 타이밍이었어요.
But I felt like it was a okay time to die for the times that I did die. And I'm sure if we didn't die, of course we could have got more advantages, but it was a situation where even if I died there, it wouldn't have made any differences.
안 죽는 게 더 좋긴 한데 뭐 죽어도 뭐 별로
의미 있는 죽음이었다. 이렇게 말씀하신 것 같아요. 자, 그래서 오늘 이제 7연승에
Now you guys are on a 7-series win streak right now.
다음 경기 1라운드의 마지막 KT
And the first round robin, the last game for you guys, which is the next game, is against KT Roadster. Would you like to say any last words?
통신사 더비가 좀 항상 재밌죠.
The Telecom Derby is always an interesting thing, and
제 주변 지인들이 꼭 27일 경기 표를 다 달라고 하더라고요.
it seems like, you know, all my friends and colleagues around me are telling me to asking me for tickets. And I think a lot of people do have a lot of expectations for that matchup. And we're also preparing really hard to get a good matchup going, to get a good performance going in that particular match. And we want to get a satisfactory result by the end of the first round robin, so we can, you know, continue on with the second round robin and be successful in that as well. Faker, would you like to say one last to your fans as well?
언제나 응원해 주시는 팬분들 감사드리고.
We always thank the fans for always continuing to support us.
그리고 오늘 현장에 와주셔서 정말로.
And we thank you for actually coming out to watch us in the stadium, so we just ask you to continue to support us. And that's the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. So another 2-0 victory here for SK Telecom. 300 games achieved for Bang. They move up the standings. They maintain this massive lead for Blank and Untara as well, who has one growing for himself.
9-0 for him.
Now they get poised for that Telecom war next week.
And 9-0 for the side of Untara to join the 17-0 for Blank. Like you say, only one more opponent for SKT in the first round robin. They come in 7-1, 9 games for each round robin. Well, guess what? KT Rolster is going to be the only one stopping them from booking their seat at the top, you'd have to think. If Samsung go 2-0, worth noting, they will actually be 1 game score ahead of SKT, and they also
the match score,
win the match score, so they are in good position to maybe nominally be there, but they definitely beat SKT when they were at their weakest. Feels like increasingly beginning them at their strongest, but the week still goes on from here, Achilleos.
That it does. We have more games coming up on Saturday. ROX Tigers will yet again go in, face off against MVP. Certainly a match that ROX could win 7th versus 10th place at the moment.
One team will be true 7th because they will be 2-match wins after that particular one.
That is true, and I missed the second game because they got rid of the slide so fast. But over at the Gangnam Stadium on Sunday, Samsung will take to the Rift versus Jin Green Wings, and then it's Longju Gaming versus the Afrika Freaks.
BBQ versus KT is the last game of the OGN calendar.
Do not miss it. It's going to be amazing for that one. But no, we'll be bringing you the games on Saturday. We'll get set up with those ones, and you'll see if ROX Tigers can put that win on the board.
Yep, so fun day of matches. The Budget Telecom War, both sides win, but there'll only be one true winner on Tuesday.
That's true. We'll have to wait for that one to happen. For now, we'll see you on Saturday. Enjoy your night. We'll see you then.